Yeah, she's calling back. We're going to try to give her a call again, and then she just added another phone number to the 13-year-old grandson who's possibly with the daughter. Step out with this.
2412.
Veteran crisis hotline's calling in, so they have a female veteran off her medication. She's at work to Safe Haven. Attacking 12, take a check that one out.
6-1 bullet, 2-1 try to get shot.
Officer still stands for talk? No. Offender in custody? Temporary with the... Thanks. Anyone else close, wait till she runs out, let me know. Come first number. 10-4. Check that one out.
6-1 bullet, 2-1 try to get shot.
Officer still stands for talk? No. Offender in custody? Temporary with the... Thanks. Anyone else close, wait till she runs out, let me know. 10-5, sir. 33.
3-3. Can you let us supervise that application report with this arrest attached?
1830.
Yeah, possible Sheridan and Wilson.
Come first number. 10-4. And where's the... 47 Fulton. I'm sorry, wait a copy here. Okay. One more time, copy. 847 Fulton. 847 Fulton, okay. 335, that needed coming over with domestic battery at 15 North Winchester, 185 North Winchester. Speeding the caller and the owner of the vehicle.
Good morning. Bright and early. Bright and early. And I got my coffee. Oh, it's already spicy. I feel the same way as you two do when it comes to that 911 call. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Yes, it's early as hell. It's too early for me to be on, but you know what? My sleep's been all messed up because I've been sick this week. That's why I haven't been doing shows the last few days. Been sick, but I started feeling better last night. Finished up a bunch of work that you see right now, you know, new stuff that you see, a new presentation. And I'm like, damn, I can't get any sleep. You know what? Let's just talk some Idaho 4. Who cares how early it is? I got my coffee right here, and we got a lot to talk about. Plus, I already have a notification out for later tonight. When it comes to, we're going to be talking about a lot of the document drops that have been coming out. So we're going to be chilling and chatting this morning. And then we're going to be digging into the documents tonight with some special guests. And you know who they are. You love them. But I didn't know this, and I'm going to wait a little bit, but I mean, I knew a long time ago, but it didn't show up before. But on my last show, I was like, let me try and see if I can gift some memberships again, and so I'm going to do that this morning. But I'm going to wait a little bit, probably halfway through the show. I'm going to gift some memberships, and then I can only do like 10 or something, so maybe it'll come by again here in a couple weeks or something. But I was like, damn, look at that. I missed out all this time by giving some memberships. By the way, I'm going to drop this video. This is the part 1 of 4. If you are a member, this is the video part 1 of 4. This was my first time, and it's raw video. It's my first time showing up to 1122 King Road before it was torn down. It was on the year anniversary, and there's 4 parts to it. That's part 1 of 4. You'll hear my commentary. You'll see it as I'm going there. So if you are a member, check that out if you haven't yet. I might even rewatch it because I was going through my old footage at the beginning of the week, and I was like, damn, I missed so much stuff, plus more on that A&W thing too. But we'll be talking about that in a future show, because we're going to be talking about this person too when it comes to a future show. This guy right here, yeah, you know this guy right here. We're going to be talking some more about him coming up, and we're going to have a special guest for that guy right there. We're going to be talking about that guy with a special guest. That'll be coming up early next week. I can't wait for that. It's somebody we had on a couple years ago, and it'll be a pleasure to have them on again. But it's interesting that, speaking of 911 call, let me switch this up over here. Now, we've heard 911 call audio to be released to the public soon. We heard some FOIA jibber jabber. I don't know. I didn't listen to the video. I just saw some transcripts or whatever. So if there's like a video you want me to check out, just send it to my email, EvilleCJ@gmail.com, or any of these platforms up above, and then let me know what the timestamp is, and we'll listen to the explanation or whatever. But I just heard it was, it was supposed to be. Now, somebody that we know has already put in the FOIA already, and they were denied. So that was just a few weeks ago. So I don't know what that's about, right? Right? I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, that's what the word is that the 911 call audio was going to be released soon to the public. So, oh yes, it's something that, when we went through those documents and we got to read out the transcript that they allowed, because it was obviously cut out. It was obviously missing something because it mentions a 20-year-old female before anybody told the dispatch that she was 20. So it's like, whoa, how'd you even get to that conclusion? You know, weird stuff, weird stuff, weird stuff. But to hear the audio, man, we're gonna dig into that. I can't wait for that. But if not, I'll check out these shows later on. I'm gonna be making a trip to Myrtle Beach here soon, and so I'll listen to it as I hit the road. By the way, I'm probably gonna be doing a members only. I'm gonna be driving. I have to drive through that storm, and so I'll probably be doing some storm chasing. So I'll look for a members live on the road. Set the camera, and forget it. But at the same time, stream it just because you never know. You never know what the hell's going to go on out there. Mama of 5, thank you so much for the $5 super sticker. Good job with the kitty. Thank you so much. And thank you for your support, really. It helps me be able to do these things. We're going to be doing a lot of court reporting regarding the J.P. Miller allegations. We're going to be having a show coming up with the Micah Miller case soon. I wanted to do it this week, but I was sick, so I wasn't able to. But we're going to be doing some live reporting. We're going to be doing some interviews. We're going to be doing different things, and also bringing a different aspect to the protest that y'all never seen before. Because if you guys thought it was I'll just put it like this: if you guys thought it was a cool production at that protest when there was different angles, oh, just wait until this one's coming up this coming weekend. Oh yeah, it's going to be a protest production like a protest production has never done. And you guys, I can't wait. It's going to be so interactive. I can't wait for you guys to check that out. That'll be this weekend on Sunday morning. So, but let's get into the topics. What's up, C-Dog? Let me say what's up to everybody real quick. I saw Jesse put a comment in there. That's too early. I know it's too early. Mama, thank you so much. Yeah, it's a bit too early, I do think, because usually I wouldn't be starting my shows till probably about 9 in the morning. But you know what? I was like, there's a lot of people across the pond, and why not? Why not? What time is it over there? Around dinner time? Yeah, it's a little early, but you know what? I'm like, hey, I might as well do a show and talk about this stuff here because we're going to be digging into the documents tonight, and I can't wait. But I felt bad I didn't do a show for the morning show earlier this week, so we're on here right now, and then I'll probably get a little bit of sleep after that. I got to get some stuff together, some stuff ready. Then we're going to be doing the show later tonight, and then after that, I got to finish getting some stuff, and then do this, and then do another show. Yeah, it's gonna be busy, but you know what? You gotta work OT for the time that I missed. Is it just me? Yeah, and that's what I was thinking too. Good morning, Alarm. I saw you guys. Yeah, I saw you guys. I was just like, hey, we're on the same wavelength here, C-Dog says, let's go. Leah listening at work. Oh, good morning. Hopefully you got some coffee too. My guess is the defense can prove that. Well, yeah, from the very beginning, from the very beginning. from the very beginning. I mean, it's like if when you're there from these court hearings in the very beginning, there's been so many of them. To sit there and ask people to go back to the beginning, you know what I mean? You know, it's a lot. What's up, Sarah? But speaking of, Sarah on Twitter drops a lot of great documents, by the way. Um, but yeah, when it comes to that stuff, man, there's so many signs that they were telling, so many signs that they were telling. Even the prosecution, a lot of stuff that you're seeing now, it's stuff like, those first few hearings, and it's like, look, they're trying to blame this on the FBI, the three-letter agency here. We can't get shit because of them, and it's all, hey, it's their. Then you see all the stuff with like Ann Taylor from the beginning. I have yet to see how any of this stuff connects my client, right? And then when it comes to like the topic today about the DNA, the knife sheath being planted, right? The knife sheath, the DNA planted. Well, remember when I brought up all the way back then, I brought up the dirty DNA glove. I brought up how the K-bar sheath could have been from Maddie and Kaylee. These were things back then, and now you're starting to see this stuff, and you're like, man, you got to revisit. You got to revisit. You got to revisit. It's crazy because, like I've always told people, this crime, when I started my show, it was about current events and a little bit of true crime. It was mainly current events and just chilling back. It was going to be a call-in show. It was going to be talking about current topics. And a week and a half after I started my show, this crime took place. Idaho 4 and those victims. And eventually this channel just morphed into what we're doing every time we do a show. So this one is everything that's taken place in this case, everything that's been uncovered over time, everything that the community's done together. It's nice to be able to be around the whole thing, and it's when you see there's so many reasons to be invested too. The victims, the families, the communities, justice, truth, not propaganda, not public opinion, not media twists, not, you know what I mean? Because we live in a day and age where there's a lot of BS going on all over the place, and it's just flying all over, and you just want the truth, You just want the truth. So hopefully this all happens with this case, All you can do is pray. You think we will get to hear the 9? I don't know. I'm thinking, I hope it is. Let me know, because if it drops, let me know. We'll go right to it. I don't know. The interesting thing is last night it was talked about how I'm going to wait until the mainstream media puts it out there first, the bigger networks. Good morning, Collateral. The bigger networks. So it makes you wonder, because when them big networks get it, they're gonna drop it, because they want to be the first one to drop it. So kind of like what everybody was saying a minute ago, I feel like family got first dibs, right? Good morning, Beckles. I feel like family got first dibs. and family decided to, you know, with their favorite people. Family got first dibs and they just made it rain for their favorite people. So we waiting on News Nation. I don't know. Let me refresh. Let me refresh the docket. All right, I'm not seeing nothing. I'll let you know. Just keep reminding me, Just keep reminding me. All right, so let me see here. I got a whole bunch of stuff and I hope we can get through it, but maybe not. Maybe not. You know what? We got over 50 people in here already this morning. I didn't expect that because it is a crazy time. So before we get started, and by the way, let me see here. Let me do that 5 gifted membership thing real quick. All right, let's see. Gift 5 now. So hopefully y'all in here will get a membership. There we go. All right. So, and by the way, if you are a member, here's the link for the part 1 of 4, and then you'll see part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. You'll see all 4 parts, but part 1 is first. That's the link. That's the raw video commentary of me in the vehicle pulling up to 1122 for the first time ever. So, the new members, go ahead and click that link, save it to a playlist, and that's part 1 of 4 raw video. You get to see and hear what it was like for me to show up the very first time. That's the very first time that I showed up to 1122 King Road before it was torn down. That was on their year anniversary. A couple days before that, because I think that was the 10th. Well, the 10th. It was a couple days before, but enjoy. All right. So let me get into this article real quick, and thank you all for being here. I'm going to read one article, then we're going to check out some videos and such. And good morning, Shelley. All right. Kohberger defense to argue an Idaho murder trial. DNA evidence was planted. We're going to be talking about a lot of that this morning. I'm going to show you some current stuff. I'm going to show you some of the stuff that I've brought up. Start a playlist. If you don't have one, I'll be dropping some links for y'all to check it out. Plus, we're going to listen to some interesting individuals discuss this very topic as well. Attorneys for Brian Kohberger, and this is from Kevin Fixler, Idaho Statesman. The dude's awesome. From the very beginning, when I was out there for that year anniversary, the University of Idaho was trying to buy the scam of the University of Phoenix online, and they were about to bamboozle their community and effort from a community. We spoke up. Kevin Fixler was speaking up. Thank God that, even senators were reaching out to the University of Idaho saying, yo, it's a scam. That's why our military quit using them a long time ago. Please don't purchase this. It was crazy. They were about to do it. In 2023, it was crazy. Attorneys for Brian Kohberger, who is charged with the unaliving in the deaths of the 4 University of Idaho students, are set to acknowledge there is good support that their client's DNA was discovered on a key piece of evidence police say they found at the crime scene, but are expected to argue at trial that it might have been planted. Furthermore, hey, what? It was available earlier. Now it's disappearing. All right. You know what? We're just going to listen to it. Right here.
Prosecutors, Koberger defense to argue in Idaho murder trial DNA evidence was planted. Attorneys for Brian Koberger, who is charged with murder in the deaths of 4 University of Idaho students, are set to acknowledge there is good support that their client's DNA was discovered on a key piece of evidence police said they found at the crime scene, but are expected to argue at trial that it might have been planted. Furthermore, Koberger's defense will attempt to establish that the DNA match to the only suspect in the case doesn't itself confirm that he ever visited the Moscow house where the 4 students were found stabbed to death, prosecutors wrote in a public court filing this week.
That's right. Just because the knife sheath was there doesn't mean, and this is stuff that we've discussed since Mabbitt came out with her interviews. When you hear the families talk about the autopsies, there's what specific weapon was it? They're assuming it was a K-bar. But just because, I mean, Yoli's said it shit for years. Just because the sheath's there doesn't mean that that was the weapon that committed the crime. She says the sheath is not the weapon, which is true. The sheath is not the weapon. Shout out Yoli.
2 experts, one in DNA and another in forensic biology, will testify on behalf of the defense that they believe it is, in fact, Koberger's DNA, the prosecution said. The lack in sealed defense filings of any expert witness who will assert the state is wrong that Koberger's DNA was on a knife sheath located next to one of the 4 victims indicates that they accept the scientific finding, prosecutors said. Koberger's defense team also hasn't provided any evidence to challenge the direct DNA match between a swab of his cheek and that from the knife sheath, the prosecution wrote.
Sponsor message, then we're back. How do you make an Airbnb a Verbo?
Okay, I will mute that for you. Hold on one second. Oh my gosh, that's loud. Here, let me drop this link for you in chat as well. One second. That way you can have the link for this article. Oh, wow, this is loud. Okay, it's almost done.
Instead of challenging the conclusion that the DNA on the knife sheath belonged to the defendant, the defense's expert disclosures reveal that the defense plans to argue the DNA on the knife sheath does not prove Koberger was ever at the crime scene and the knife sheath itself could have been planted by the real perpetrator. Read the filing signed by Lada County Prosecutor Bill Thompson and Special Assistant Attorney General Jeff Nye, also assigned to the case. At a hearing in January, Ann Taylor, Koberger's lead attorney, alluded to the DNA on the knife sheath as the most significant issue to be resolved at trial. That's the ultimate question that will be before a jury, she told the court. What does a knife sheath at a scene mean? Koberger, 30, is a former graduate student of criminal justice and criminology at Washington State University in Pullman, Washington, just on the other side of the Idaho state line from Moscow. After a 7-week investigation, he was arrested at his parents' home in Pennsylvania and brought to Idaho to face 4 counts of first-degree murder and a count of felony burglary. The victims were U of I students Kaylee.
Okay, I mean, we already know all this. I'm just going to leave it there. So, 2 experts, okay? Prosecutors wrote in a public filing this week, 2 experts, one in DNA and another in forensic biology, will testify on behalf of the defense that they believe it is, in fact, Koberger's DNA, the prosecution said. Will testify on behalf of the defense that they believe it is. Okay, wouldn't it say that the 2 experts will testify on behalf of the defense that they know it is or can link. But they're not saying that it's not his. What they're saying is that just because the sheath is there doesn't mean that that's the weapon that committed the crime. That's why later on, if you haven't seen the video that I did about how it could be like literally it could have been Maddie, her knife that was there by her shelf and underneath the mattress. Kaylee knew about it. Kaylee was up holding the sheath in the left hand, because now we know that the sheath was tucked under the blanket. They don't have like a for sure statement of how it was left, but that it was tucked under the blanket. There's been all these different reports on that too, about exactly where it was when they seen it. But when you're looking at the analytics and you're looking at probability, more often than not, if that is there, where it's at, it's because the victim was holding it in that hand that is right above where it fell, and with all the movement of being pushed up against the corner of the wall, well, she's on top of Maddie, so that's gonna push Maddie underneath Kaylee back into that direction just ever so slightly with every right? So that would be how it, number one, falls out and then gets covered up, is because, I'm not trying to be too graphic. And then the person that committed the crime took it as a souvenir and can literally pull that souvenir out wherever they want and relive that crime by looking at that weapon, and nobody will be none the wiser. They'll look at it like, damn, that's a nice knife, Jimmy. Can I see that, man? Yes, you can. Yeah, if you want to hear, you can hold it. While the meantime, the sicko that committed the crime is like, he has no idea that took out 4 people. And the guy's like, damn, that's a nice knife, Jimmy. Damn, it's got some wear on it too, man. You've been hunting, huh? Oh, damn straight, I've been hunting. Woo! What's up, Tiffany? Yeah, the unknown DNA. The unknown DNA. Unknown DNA. All right, let me see. Here's some new documents that dropped. We're going to get into these tonight, though. Let me hit refresh. We're looking for that 911 audio, right? That's supposed to be out there from the public or put out there from the news sources. So I don't know. Wouldn't it be on the docket if it's getting released? But if it releases, let me know. We'll go through it. But we're going to talk more about this sheath planting, DNA planting. But there's already a link tonight, 7 p.m. Central. We're going to have some special guests digging into all these documents that are being dropped. And who knows, maybe a lot of stuff drops around 5 p.m. Central. So we'll see. Maybe it will drop later on this afternoon, and we'll be going into that tonight. I don't know. Hopefully. Link's already out there, though. All right. Let me, let's see here. Let's get into this DNA evidence. Let's listen to what Brian Enton has to say first here. Because I do like Brian Enton, even though I can't stand the others. don't really care from. We'll see. I don't know. We will definitely see. All right, let's get this up here. Let's see what they got to say.
Yeah, it
Good
is pretty
morning.
surprising, Ashley. You have to think to yourself, if you were on that jury and they just said in court, oh, it's a tip that led us to Brian Kohberger and led us to do the cheek swab and then connect the DNA from him to the knife sheath. It was just a tip. You'd have to
See, do you guys remember me saying this shit from the beginning? They just took the tip. They just took the tip and ran with it. Oh my gosh, you want to talk about old days here? If anybody's back from the old days, you'll remember this screen. Freeze. Freeze. All right, let's get back to this DNA conversation being planted, sheath being planted.
to imagine they would be sitting there wondering, well, what tip was it? How did you get to that point? We've now learned they're not going to find out. That's not going to come in during trial. The judge just ruled on that today. It's been a year, more than a year, that there's been so many court hearings and fights back and forth about the investigative genetic genealogy.
Yeah, they didn't want to give it up. They just wanted to use the knife sheath. They just wanted to use the tip. Oh my gosh, this is it's like blast from the past here. Like 2 years ago, blast from the past 2 years ago. They just took the tip. Right around 2 years ago, actually. And then we get to those initial court hearings. They don't want to give up the day. We're asking them for everything, Your Honor. You know, you had Judge John Judge, Mr. Draw a line in the sand and keep stepping backward. Okay, you can cross that one here. Don't cross this one. Okay, you can cross that one. Don't cross this one then, okay? Oh, boy. Oh, man. I mean, that's what they've been saying. And then when, court hearings, hey, they had that one court hearing about how they were talking about that the FBI didn't release, we couldn't get information for this case. What are we supposed to do? Because it was technology that they didn't want out there. And that's how they got their lead, right? So that's what they're arguing here and have been arguing pretty much is like, we just got the lead from them. They didn't want to use it. Why? Well, there's two reasons. It's because either it really did happen that way, right? Because they're, if they're helping out, they take it from Orthram and they do it themselves and they use technology that we're not privy to. Hey, that's how it is. You know what I'm saying? Investigation, sometimes you need help like that. But there's work that comes with it. You hear these experts about how you can't just look at one list and go, okay, yeah, that's how I got to it. There's you have to have the whole notebook. You have to have binders to even get to where you're getting to. We don't have that. I don't know. This trial, I hope they don't lock out the public, because I'm telling you, I've been, like I said, I've been covering this case from the very beginning. This case is what made this channel what it is. And we've reported a lot of information, broke a lot of stuff, exposed a lot of stuff. And they better not have the public not be able to go to this trial, because I am pushing to be there for that trial. Report from the courtroom from that trial. Because the truth needs to be put out there, period. I watched the shit happen in Delphi. I went up to that courthouse too. Watched that shit. I didn't get in the courthouse. But you know what? I will get into this one. On a test for not showing. I mean, yeah. It's like where's the binders? Seriously, if this is, but they're not using that. They just want to use, hey, we just got this piece of paper. We just got this piece of paper. It says Brian Christopher Koberger on it. That's hey. That's all.
Defense trying to poke holes in it, saying that it's unfair, saying that it's not scientifically tested, that it's a new technology that they used. I thought it was going to be a big part of their defense at trial. Apparently not. They've said they don't want to bring it in. The prosecution has said they don't want to bring it in. The judge has agreed, and it's apparently not coming in.
But, yeah. Because John Judge couldn't make a damn decision. It took him 3 weeks to decide what shoe he was going to put on first. What shoe am I going to put on first, left or right today? Huh? The most indecisive person. But there's a reason, because the dude, he's like, look, I'm some small town freaking judge. I ain't trying to change Idaho law and have it come back on me and all this. He said, no, hot potato. I bet you he was one of the dudes that secretly slipped in and threw a vote for the trial to get out, go to Boise. Because look at him now. He's like, yep, I'm retiring. I told you guys he was going to retire. I told you. Watch. Told you. Just like Dollinger was going to be captain.
Jesse, I feel like those are several months I will never.
Or chief. I'm sorry, chief.
Get back. The pitched battle between the defense and the prosecution under seal, I might add, which drives me even crazier, because to me that is secret justice, not American justice. But, when it comes right down to it, Jesse Weber, a swath, of his cheek matches the DNA on the knife sheath. Do we need to even know anything more than that? The DNA on here matches the DNA in that cheek. Does the jury need to know anything more than that?
Probably.
Yeah, they need to know what weapon it was that committed the crime. The sheath, like Yoli said, the sheath is not the weapon.
No, because let me break it down for this. So it is a 5.37 octillion times more likely that is Brian Koberger's DNA than anybody else. Not a shocker. They're not trying to challenge it. But let's, for argument's sake, take this argument. Okay, it was his DNA on the knife sheath and somebody decided to plant it. Okay, so now you're wondering, how did that happen? How did the DNA get on the knife sheath? Who would want to frame him? And by the way, if this is a plot to really frame Brian Koberger here, then this is somebody who would also have to make sure that his cell phone turned off at the key times during these murders, that the cell phone pings that were on would track the same movements of his car headed towards and away from the direction of that area, that the car would also have to be in that area at least 4 times that night. And also the assailant would have to dress up and look like somebody like Brian Koberger, who matched the description from the eye.
What the hell is going on here? Dude, did you read these court documents? I mean, you're just getting so aggressive, like, blah, blah. But did you read the court documents, man? Where did it say that they said, yes, that's the... Where did it say, yes, that's him? What? No wonder, because you know what? Oh, shit. That's why he's on there. Damn.
Witness about the bushy eyebrows. So all of these things.
Let's get back to Brian Enton. Come on. Let's ask Brian Enton a question. Yes. Let's get back to the respect. Yes. Oh, my gosh. Let's go to Brian Enton.
Really unreasonable.
Whoop. Skip it.
It does, and I'm just trying to play it out in my mind. If they actually try to argue this out in court, are they going to say that there was someone out there who killed these college kids, who then went and got the knife sheath from Brian Kohberger, they stole it or something, and it had the little bit of DNA on Kohberger, and then went to the house and put it in there after doing it, or brought it with them and then dropped it on purpose, trying to frame Kohberger? I mean, it is all sort of hard to wrap your mind around. But just,
you know what? Here, I'm going to share this real quick, and then we'll get back to this. This is why it's not so hard to wrap your head around it. Okay. Oh, my Lord. All right. You see this video right here? Let me zoom it up. You see this video right here, right? The K bar was Kaylee or Maddie's. I'm going to share this link because, yes, it's crazy to sit there and think. It's crazy to sit there and think that somebody's going to, DoorDash a sheath, right? Because that's basically what he's saying. Are you telling me that somebody DoorDashed a sheath? Now, does it seem like a lost DoorDash driver? Yes. But are you going to tell me somebody DoorDashed a sheath? No. But what I can tell you that is plausible is that Kaylee or Maddie own the K-bar for protection and why it might not be the person that committed the crime. So here's the link. It's a, 16-minute watch. Maybe we'll watch it in a little bit if we keep hearing this stuff, because this is crazy. Nobody said anybody DoorDashed a sheath. Maybe the DoorDash did deliver the sheath. Ooh, do you think the DoorDash driver delivered the sheath? Let me know. That's a good question.
He made a good point. I think this is important. I mean, this all came out through a state filing, and it is the prosecutor who is trying to explain what the defense witness is going to say at trial, possibly. So this isn't coming directly from the defense. So maybe this is just one sort of theory that they've floated around and that they're not necessarily going to use as a defense at trial. We don't know, but it is kind of hard to imagine.
Yeah, if I were trying to frame someone and I was going into their...
Okay. Yeah, like I said, simply right here. Why it could have been there. Now, 16 minutes. Now, tell me that it can't. I guarantee it gets argued in court. I guarantee it gets argued. Because what do you think? I'm just about the truth. You got to question everything and you got to explore everything. I'm just about the damn truth. I don't care who it is. It could be Jimmy Crack Corn. And Jimmy Crack Corn, you know what? It could have been you got to look at the evidence and what's there. Like Yoli always said, doesn't mean that that's the weapon. All right, Law and Crime. Speaking of, let's check that out.
It's a lead generator. It's a highly scientific tip, but it's still just a tip. So we can point law enforcement in the right direction with this technique, but they still have to perform their full investigation.
Genetic genealogy and how it was used in the Idaho 4 murder investigation is becoming a major issue in the case against Brian Kohberger. And now court documents reveal Kohberger's
And thank you all for being here. Please hit the like if you haven't yet. Good morning to the people just showing up. Trust me, I got my coffee. We're talking about this. By the way, we already have a link for tonight. We're going to be having special guests digging into all these documents. Also, I'm going to be refreshing to see if this 911 audio is going to be released to the public. But if you see it get released, let me know and we'll dig into it ASAP. Because I'm ready to listen to this 911 call.
Defense may claim DNA on a knife sheath
Thank you for being
planted.
here.
Thanks for joining us here on Law and Crime. I'm Anjanette Levy. We reported a few weeks ago that prosecutors asked
the
the court
vacuum
to issue a protective order.
Yeah, Tiffany, remember the Bissell backpack from 2023? It looked like a Ghostbuster back. Who are you gonna call? Oh yeah.
On the genetic genealogy information developed by the FBI using a DNA profile obtained from the snap of the knife sheath found on Maddie Mogan's bed.
Right. Also, this is something that nobody's really discussing either, because I even made a DNA revisited video. All right, the dirty DNA glove. When you're talking contamination, right here. Here's the link to this. When you're talking contamination, I'll show you the photo. Good morning, John. Good morning, Mita. I'm gonna show you contamination. Let me show these real quick. Then we'll get back to the video. We want to talk about contamination. Let's talk about contamination real quick. Let's go full screen for that. We'll bring up this photo. First photo we got is, oh, that glove that gets stepped on. That link right here has the video of it. The drone video shows it completely. Has the link in the description for that. And also, while we're over here touching all of our equipment right after we do that, we're touching all of our equipment. Now we're going to go in there into the crime scene, and you know what they're doing, documenting evidence. And you see the same equipment that they're touching, the same equipment that was rubbed all over from these gloves. Oh yeah, you want to, hey, when it talks about it could be planted this way too. You never know. Especially with how shoddy this investigation was handled, because it's like I said back then, it's no wonder, because this is old. This was when they showed up. This was that, hello? Back then. Come on now. No wonder she wanted training records of, I mean, come on. That's why. Because these people didn't obviously know what they're doing. It's like I said, if they went to class on the first day and they said, the teacher goes, pop quiz. Before we even get started on page 1, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to test your common sense. And this was a test. They probably wouldn't have showed up the next day, because they realized, you know what? I have no business trying to continue. I have no business whatsoever doing that. Just gonna have to go back to Mickey D's and keep putting them pickles on the bottom on accident. Damn it. Yeah. Because you just don't think straight. That's the problem.
Kohberger faces the possibility of the death penalty if convicted of the murders of Mogan, Haley Gonsalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin last November. The defense wants to show how the FBI used DNA to create family trees that led them to Kohberger and his father. It's clear from reading court documents.
By the way, if you guys can see, I've been telling you guys for a long time, Jay Koff basically gets her information from interns, and she doesn't check her own shit. Now you can see she's coming out like, right? Angelette Levy, she's got her own channel. She's only got a couple thousand subs. I'll try and remember to drop her link in the live chat. Go show her some love, because at least she talks some damn common sense, and she actually does her research. Seriously, if you guys have noted, like, listen, not only Idaho 4, Sebastian, all these damn cases. Well, I think it's because of this, and it's like, bonk, what? Because anybody that knows the facts is sitting there looking down, going, it's got to be the intern's notes. It's got to be the intern notes. Because if somebody's really, digging in their foxholes and all this other shit, then they'd come out with right the correct stuff, not twisted. You know what I'm saying? Not twisted and yeah, it's just my opinion. Yeah. Nope, yep, I'm looking at these notes right before I go live. That's why my glasses come off right in the beginning. Cuz I just got done looking at my notes. The intern files. And Angelette, shout out to her. She does amazing. She needs more love over at her channel. Let me find her link and I'll drop it for you. So you can go sub
and
up.
from covering the case that law enforcement had very little to go on until genetic genealogy came into play. Koberger's defense attorneys wrote in their objection that they want to see how many other potential suspects were
Show her
overlooked.
some love.
And they even suggested that Koberger's DNA could have been planted. They wrote, what the state's argument asks this court and Mr. Koberger to assume is that the DNA on the sheath was placed there by Mr. Koberger and not someone else during an investigation that spans hundreds of members of law enforcement and apparently at least one lab the state refuses to name. Prosecutors have now responded to the defense's objection, writing, presumably then, defendant was attempting to show how the investigative genetic genealogy information is material to the preparation of his defense when he asserted that someone other than the defendant may have placed his DNA on the K-bar knife sheath. But the state
That's right.
is at a loss as to how that theory supports a claim that the IgG information is material to the preparation of his defense.
Because we're going to show it again. By the way, here's her link. Go show her some love. Tell her EvilleCJ sent you. Go show her some love. She's only at 2.54 subs. At least she does her homework and talks common sense. Go show her some love. Show her some love. And when it comes to this again, this is why. When he says somebody else, dude, look at how these people treated the crime scene. Come on. Dude. You'll see. I'm gonna include it in today's show. Trust me. You'll see. You'll see. It's bad. Yes, somebody else could have done it. But like Yoli said as well, just because doesn't mean that's the weapon that committed the crime. The sheath didn't commit the crime.
In other cases, prosecutors haven't been forced to turn over the genetic genealogy information. I spoke with CeCe Moore, an expert in the field, about this.
By the way, CeCe Moore, she is amazing. Presumption podcast from a long time ago. We should revisit that because we watched it all the way back then. And it was an amazing show. We need to watch that on the next Idaho show. We'll be digging into documents tonight, but we're gonna have to do that for sure. Maybe tomorrow night. Yeah, tomorrow night. We should for sure.
This earlier this year.
The precedent that we've seen set is that this does not need to and should not be presented in court in front of a jury. So far, it's really been discussed in pretrial hearings, grand jury trial hearings, if at all. I've been on hold for dozens of cases to be an expert witness, and I've been canceled in every single one because of the precedent that we're seeing set, because of the rulings the judges are making. Oftentimes, when the defense tries to object to the genetic genealogy, and they lose, which they have in every case so far, they end up doing a plea deal.
Koberger's trial is currently set for October.
Yeah, like I told you guys, when you look into the history of how they throw a bunch of charges at these people, it's basically making them take plea deals, twisting it around. Now, this is the thing. This has national media attention. The other ones didn't. This one does. Who knows? Think about this. Like, what public defender? Why do people say I'm not saying hey, this is just what is said around. You know what I'm saying? This is just what's said. But it's said if you have a public defender, you're basically representing yourself. All right? What other public defender, while their potential client is in Pennsylvania, what public defender shuts down a crime scene, kicks out the cleaning crew, makes sure everybody steps away and closes it off? Look at everything that she's done as a public defender. It's crazy to think. As a public defender, it's like, wow.
October. Meanwhile, I spoke with Kristen Slaper, an expert in DNA analysis, who managed DNA analysis for years for Ohio's Bureau of Criminal Investigation's Crime Lab. I asked her about the possible claim that DNA was planted and the arguments over genetic genealogy.
What's important to remember is that, first of all, DNA on its own doesn't mean anything until you have a standard to compare. So what I mean by that is you could run DNA tests all day long, get profiles from someone or multiple people, and you don't really know what it means until you either put it into the CODIS database or you compare it to a standard that's submitted. So in a situation like this, where I hear that the claim is DNA is planted, I think it's important to remember that Bryan Kohberger was not known. Nobody knew who did this. And I think that's important because in order for something to be planted, it has to be a pretty, it's got to be pretty planned out to plant someone's DNA. You have to have their DNA first.
Not really. Not really. It doesn't have to be planned out when it happens with contamination. Again, you're going to find out in trial why in the very beginning of the court hearings, Ann Taylor was asking for training records for specific individuals, and there's a reason why. That. Oh, they're very close, Beckles. In fact, Moscow is Pullman's baby brother, because Moscow, and they admit it, Moscow admits that Pullman, they strive to be like Pullman, even all the way down to how they disperse their water to the community. It's crazy. Baby brother knows it's a baby brother. That's for sure. And baby brother doesn't do it as effectively as the older brother. And so, baby brother has some jealousy issues sometimes. You know what I'm saying? But, it is what it is.
First of all, you have to have an item that their DNA is on and know that only their DNA would be found on it.
Oh, yeah. When it comes to an outsider, that's why somebody that lives there tells people, check this out. Whoops, I meant to leave that up. That's why when we came across this dude, I can't remember what his name is, but he's a real estate. What's up, Caroline? He's a real estate, he tries to sell houses, right? And he's from Idaho, and he's from northern Idaho. This dude literally tells you reasons why you don't want to move there, because they don't like it, they don't like outsiders. The dude tells you out of one of the, I think it's like the top 5 things that every person should know if they're moving to Idaho. Like number 1 was change your license plate. Because people will see that you're not from that. The dude that's from there that is trying to sell houses is telling you, as soon as you move, change your license plate. Update your shit to Idaho, basically. What's up, Ja? What's up, Paco? Miriam? Yeah. Yeah, it's like, and that's the dude that's trying to sell houses. And he's the one saying, don't move here.
In order for a result to be produced the way that it was, for it to be one person on this knife sheath, for it to be enough DNA that you could generate a profile from this, that you could put it into CODIS, that you could then go on to do genealogy, you have to have a decent amount of DNA for that. And so it has to be really carefully planned, I think, if you're going to plant someone's DNA. And then, like I said, not knowing who the person,
like they said, like these people, this is where I like Law and Crime. I would love to come on sometime, because I would sit there and go, they're not saying that the Sheath was door dashed. They're not saying that the Sheath was door dashed. They're not. Oh. Well, yeah, if it's door dashed. Not if it's contaminated. Not if it's contaminated. You don't listen. You don't need Batman. You don't need Batman for that. They did it themselves. You don't even need the bat signal. You just leave that light off. Tell them to take a night off. Hey, bro. They did it themselves.
is when the DNA lab runs the test, the DNA lab is only generating what's there and what they have. And we always had a saying in the lab that you either get the right answer or you get no answer. Because you're working the evidence that gets submitted by the law enforcement agency. And sometimes you would get a profile and other times you wouldn't. So in my mind, to plant someone's DNA, I think it takes an awful lot of work. And I think it's a little bit too coincidental with all the other facts of the case. Not knowing the outcome, not knowing who did it, that's just my opinion.
So the state says, they had this unknown DNA profile. As you mentioned, they didn't get a hit in CODIS. So they send it to a private lab. There are a few private labs that will do this work for law enforcement, but then they hand it over to the FBI, and the FBI comes up with this SNP profile. It's a different type of profile from the STR used in the lab. And I think this can get very confusing for people who aren't familiar with this. So they hand it over to them, and then they build family trees based on the information that they are given. And then they kind of hone in on him. But the defense makes it sound like they may have overlooked other potential suspects.
So I think a couple things on that. Yes, what we call a SNP profile or a SNP panel is different from conventional DNA testing. Conventional DNA testing is looking at 20 or 21 locations, depending on which kit you use in the lab. And if you have that profile, you can directly compare it to a standard from a suspect. And you can see, does this exactly match this person or not? When it gets put into the CODIS database, the same question gets asked. Is this matching to someone either at the state level or at the national level in the CODIS database? In a situation like this, where you have a good enough amount of DNA and it's a single source profile, you then can go on to do the SNP testing. SNP testing is, if you've heard of the Human Genome Project and you've heard that they sequence someone's DNA, that's essentially what developing a SNP panel is. It's sequencing the DNA, and then it's looking at certain segments of the DNA and comparing it to people that may be similar or not. The origination of this type of testing was really intended for SNP testing or to determine how similar someone's DNA was to their ancestors. So I submitted my sample to Ancestry, 23andMe, and they could tell me, okay, you're.
You know what? I need to do a poll, because I'm curious, and if you're watching this on replay when this is over, leave me a comment. How many of you people have submitted your DNA and how many people haven't? I would love to know. Let me make a poll here real quick. Have you submitted your DNA to any ancestor? Well, there's some here. Some are different, though. Let me see. I'll just put to any company. I haven't. There ain't no way in hell they got your fingerprints. I mean, who doesn't have your fingerprints nowadays, right? What's up, Jilly Bean? Nope, never will. Same here. You have, Plant Lady? Okay. Now, this is what I want to ask. Okay. Have you? And if you did, right? Because if you haven't, we already know your answer, right? But if you have, do you regret it? Let me know, because I'm gonna, you know what? I wanna talk about that tonight too. I wanna ask everybody again too. Have you submitted your DNA? If you have, do you regret it? And I'd like to see what the percentages are for that. I see a lot of you in there typing, nope. I haven't. I see a couple yeses. I see a lot of no's. What's up? No, I don't regret it. You don't regret it? That's cool. I mean, look, sometimes you find people that you've been looking for a long time. What's up, Lisa? Sometimes you find people, different things. You know what I mean? I get it. I just, it's like when this came, when this came out, when we were reading the PCA and then the all this other, it totally changed how I went shopping. I quit touching. Like, I'm a window shopper most of the time. I like seeing, I'm studying things, right? I'll pick it up. Oh, wow, this is how is this how then I'd put it back. Not no more. If I'm looking at it, I'm like, I'll look at it from a distance. I'll leave my touch DNA can stay on my damn hands, and it can fall to the ground unless I'm buying it and taking it home, because ain't getting it twisted, ain't getting my touch DNA twisted. You out your mind.
Your DNA is very similar to people that live in Eastern Europe, which I always knew. I always knew that I was Polish. And so, yes, my DNA most likely matches that. That's all SNP testing is doing. It's basically saying your DNA has a lot in common with someone else. And that in the situations of ancestry testing, it's populations from Eastern Europe or Ireland or wherever it.
I know, bro. I know, because that's, you know what? Life 360 and Google Maps. That's, hey, my digital footprints anywhere. Somebody wants to say I'm somewhere where I know damn well I'm not. Guess what? I got Google and Life 360, baby.
It's from. In a situation like this, they're taking that SNP panel that was developed at a private laboratory, and it's 700,000 locations on someone's DNA. They upload it in a very similar manner to uploading an STR profile or a normal profile to the code.
Damn, she's reading off that. that thing that holds your documents sitting up. She keeps looking over, reading at that.
This database, they upload this SNP panel or SNP profile to these publicly available databases, and then ask the question of how related is the person who owns this profile, i.e. is the DNA from the knife sheath, how related is this person to somebody available in these databases? I think it's important to note that the databases are publicly available databases. So someone took the time to take their sample, their own profile, their own SNP panel, and upload it to say, where are my relatives? Who am I related to? I want to trace my own family tree. I want to see, my own background. So once that comparison, they take the SNP profile, they upload it to that database. Once that's done, the returns that come back are potential family members of this person. And the return it could be a first cousin because of the relatedness and because of the DNA from the evidence profile looking very similar to the person in the database. Because of that, that's how they know the potential relatedness. So once they figure out who's in the database and they find out the identities of those people, again, those people have uploaded their sample. They've given their information. It's public.
Well, I'm going to do, like I said, we watched this episode, Presumption Podcast. Not too many people have seen it. CC Moore was on there. It was a couple years ago. The next Idaho show, not tonight because we're going to be digging into documents. Maybe we will get into it tonight. I don't know. We're going to be digging into a lot of documents. We're waiting on this 911 call to be released to the public, right? Let me hit refresh and see if do we have a up-to-the-minute doc drop? No, we don't. So we'll get back to this, but like I said, if you're confused, trust me, it is confusing. But CC Moore did a wonderful job on that show a couple years ago. We'll go into it on the next Idaho 4. Already got it written down for my next Idaho 4 show notes. Probably won't get through it tonight. Like I said, it's going to be mostly documents with special guests, but on the next one, probably tomorrow night, maybe. We will show that.
Once they figure that out, they then develop the family tree. So when you're talking about there could be other potential people, it's probably other relatives of that initial sample that got uploaded. The thing to remember is down the line, they eventually do a direct comparison back to that original DNA profile with 21 locations on it. And it's very discriminating. That profile, again, it's a 1-to-1 match. So even if there are other people in the genealogy database that look related, at the end of the day, they do that final comparison and it's a match.
I also asked Slaper about the prosecution's argument that the FBI doesn't keep reports on the genetic genealogy work performed in this case. Prosecutors say they...
Yeah, so basically what like the investigative genetic genealogy, basically it's so cold case labs. So when a case gets cold, that's where they start to use that, where they're digging into it's like CC Moore said, they're taking parts of something and recreating to add to it to try and get to. That's why she says it's considered an art, not a science, because you're actually like manipulating shit. Well, it's like Demon Dog. It's like this. I'm sure because certain people got to listen to it early because, obviously, they said that they were saying it's going to get released. We're just going to respect the local, the mainstream media, the big networks. We're going to let them, drop it first, and then we'll go ahead and put it out. And it was probably because the family got first dibs. because they didn't get first dibs when it came. Remember when it came to the 911 call, right? They didn't get first dibs when they got, when it came to the 911 call. They got first dibs because of that, because you saw how they were freaking out. You saw Steve G and Shannon Gray. I'm pissed for everyone. They didn't give us a heads up. Well, they gave them a heads up with the 911 call, and they shared it. They shared it with the two most people that agree with Christie. Let's be honest. Let's just call it like it is. Let's just call it like it is. The two people that agree with Christie G the most. Hello? I mean, that's why Jesse picks sports bets for you, and he helps you out because he called that shit. He's shout out Jesse. He called that. He's like, yo. And I said, I know, man. I agree with you. That's what I think too.
You don't have to turn that material over to the defense, and that proper DOJ protocols were followed. Prosecutors cited another case in which the state was not ordered to turn over the information.
I mean, my opinion is that I understand they don't want to turn it over because the people who are involved along the way, what I mean by that, the people who are in the database, they gave their stuff willingly, right? They uploaded their information willingly.
What's up, Amy?
If the FBI
that's true
used
too.
the publicly available databases, GEDmatch or Family Tree DNA, which it's everybody's understanding that those are the databases they should be using. So I think what they're trying to prevent is that there's people along the way who are related to Bryan Kohberger at the end of the day that don't need to be harassed. They don't need to be questioned about their DNA because, again, remember, his DNA matches that DNA profile on the knife sheath. So there are private labs that are doing this type of testing, whether it's the SNP panel or the genealogist, and they are providing a report that shows exactly how they got to the answer that they got. So I'm not sure that it's required to turn it over, but at the same time,
Where's this report that Oh yeah, going off that piece of paper on this. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You should have just did it by yourself, Anjanette.
Probably would make the case, open the doors for here's exactly how they got to the answer that they got to. Understanding that I think they're trying to protect private citizens. But in full disclosure, my opinion is just show what you did and how you got there.
Typically, we've heard about genetic genealogy being used in cold cases. In this case, it was used in a newer case. Does Kristen Slaper believe investigative genetic genealogy will be used in newer cases in the future?
Oh yeah.
Where other leads have been exhausted.
Oh my gosh, come on, of course. It's new, it's new technology. It just started being, I'm sure they used it a long time ago, secretly, but come on.
Yes.
I think that this is the way.
Yes, and then in the future it's going to get more tech, Oh my god. Okay. We're going to go the next video. I want to hear what Scott Reich has to say real quick.
Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. First, Bryan Kohberger, 12th, 2025. That's right. Bryan Kohberger says the real killer must have planned.
And here's the link for this video as well. And I will be, there we go. And I'm going to include these in the description after the show is done too. So if you didn't get to click on it in the live chat or you're watching on replay, you'll be able to click on that video in the description. And thank you all for being here. Appreciate it very much. Please hit the like if you haven't yet. And if you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. And we are going to be digging into these documents tonight. And hopefully we get that 911 call And if you hear about that 911 call being dropped, let me know, and I'll hurry up and hit refresh, and we'll go right to it.
Planted the knife sheath.
I want to hear it. I've been
recovered from
waiting
the
a long
crime
time.
scene, and it
Let
could
me
have
hit
been
refresh
planted
again
by
real quick.
the real killer. That's right. That's what we're able to glean from some recent.
Okay, the evidence. Okay, I think it's. Shout out to him. I'm still going to leave it in there, but I think it's more about. I think it's more about being planned. I don't know. We'll give it a shot. Hold on.
Filings in the code.
I just don't want to hear this, DoorDash planted thing. Like, no, it's as easy as if you want to talk plant. It's said by somebody else that's not him. It could easily be this person. DNA Dirty Glove revisited. And then when you're talking about the sheath, right there. I dropped those links already. If you want them again, let me know and I'll drop them in chat. Back to Scott Reich. Let's see.
Kohberger matter. Now, for those who aren't familiar with the Brian Kohberger matter, he's accused of fatally stabbing Madison Mogen, Kaylee Gonzalez, Zaina Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin at their off-campus home there in Moscow, Idaho, back in November of 2022. Brian Kohberger's pled not guilty. His trial is scheduled to begin in August, and if convicted, he faces the possibility of the death penalty. Now, in a filing released late Tuesday afternoon, we talked about this last night, prosecutors summarized a defense filing that appears to be sealed, and instead of challenging the conclusion that the DNA on the knife sheath belonged to the defendant, the defense expert disclosure reveals that the defense plans to argue that the DNA on the knife sheath does not prove Mr. Kohberger was even at the scene of the crime, and that the real perpetrator may have planted the knife sheath himself. Now, the prosecutor's motion quotes a defense expert disclosure that prosecutors say reveals Kohberger's lawyers intend to call an expert in forensic biology and DNA who will testify that there is good support that Mr. Kohberger's DNA was found on item 1.1, and that's from the swab of the knife sheath, but no further information from the defense expert disclosure is provided in the prosecution's filing, which was dated March 10th, which was just yesterday. Like we talked about it on our live show last night. We talked about how the defense was not going to argue the IgG faults and that the DNA testing must be faulty in some way. No. All right. So anyway, the DNA recovered on the button of the knife sheath ultimately led investigators to Brian Kohberger. That's right. It's a key piece of evidence. And that issue has been the subject of a lot of pretrial litigation. Anyway, the Idaho State Lab first located the single source of male DNA left on the button snap of the knife sheath found on the bed next to Mogen's body. Police used investigative genetic genealogy, or IgG, with the FBI. And the IgG is a field of forensic science combining DNA analysis with genealogical research to connect the sample to Brian Kohberger's family. Now, investigators then went to Kohberger's family home in Pennsylvania and pulled items from the family trash to test against the knife sheath sample. Now, the DNA profile obtained from the trash was identified as not being excluded as the biological father of the suspected knife profile found on the sheath. Now, a cheek swab was then obtained from Brian Kohberger, and they were able to confirm that he was a statistical match to the knife sheath sample. Now, Brian Kohberger's defense team has repeatedly questioned the use, legality, and accuracy of the DNA testing done at each step of the process throughout this trial. Anyway, the potential defense strategy comes in a filing from the Idaho State prosecutors saying they're willing to agree with the defense position to exclude the trial evidence related to the genetic genealogy. Now, prosecutors say they only plan to refer to the IgG materials as a generic tip with
the tip. It's just the tip. Just the tip. Oh my gosh. That's going to be the conversation now. It's crazy. This dude's awesome. I love Scott Reich. He's awesome. He's an awesome dude. He just, even though we don't agree sometimes, the dude just says it like, No BS.
Without revealing the tip's source or substance, according to the filing. And
That's
they'll
true,
ask
John
the investigator
Systems.
on the
Yeah.
stand to testify that law enforcement simply received a tip
Different
and that based upon that information,
descriptions,
other
not
evidence was
necessarily,
developed, and it ultimately led to Brian Koberger being identified as a possible suspect. We brought it to you last night, ladies and gentlemen. That was they can't explain away the DNA, so they got to embrace it. They got to embrace it. It's there, but we don't know how it got there.
Yeah.
When you do, you're going to be happy.
Yeah, because it could have been Kaylee or Maddie's, and by somebody else putting it on there, bam, the dirty DNA glove. Good morning, Michael. Good morning, Dre. I mean, we've been saying it. Now, this is what I really want to get to, because this not only talks about, the Sheath and all this stuff, but Bob Mata, I saw him. He's a really cool dude up in Delphi, and the dude is smart as hell, and he's no BS, and I love it. And I'm going to share this link with you here. This is Teddy Bruschi, and Bob Mata was on his show, and they were talking about possibilities. Now, see, this is why I wish a lot of these other mainstreams and these other humongous freaking channels, mainstream and this. Come on, let's. We're not saying the dude DoorDash to freaking Sheath. Let's talk about real possibilities. And so I can't wait to play this for you. I've been wanting to play this for you guys for a few days. And here's the link. Whoop, here, let me put this in here too. Because I would love to have, if I'm able to ever have that dude on sometime, I think we would have, I would love to have him on. Especially, and with Yoli too. I think it would be really cool to talk about this case, man. But here's Teddy Bruschi and Bob Mata. There's a link. Go sub up to him if you're not subbed, and we're gonna check out what he has to say real quick. I love this dude. He's awesome.
It's one thing to walk into court knowing you've got a tough case. It's another to watch every single legal strategy you've planned get shut down before trial even begins. That's exactly where Brian Koberger's defense team is right now. Motions to suppress, denied. Motions to dismiss the indictment, denied. Motion to take the death penalty off the table, also denied. At this point, their legal playbook is looking thinner than, an airline napkin or the now non-existent Koberger's defense chair right now, looking at the stack of admissible evidence and a death qualified jury and no prosecutorial wins. What is your next move?
Defend the case.
Yeah.
It's look, as a defense, you lose motions to suppress way more frequently than you win them. So Ann Taylor was not surprised. I think that she probably thought that she put forth some good motions, had some valid arguments. If down the road they believe that the judge ruled improperly on the law, then, it gets taken up on appeal if he's convicted. So, if you're Ann Taylor and you're like, all right, like you're assuming you're going to lose him, is what I'm saying.
Sure.
So you're not thinking that you're going into the case where you've stripped the state from all the evidence.
No.
Right. So when all these people come out with boom, it's like, hello, that's what they're expecting. I love this guy. He's no BS. Bob Mata. He's on.
You're going into that case. You're making your record. You're filing the required requisite motions to suppress, to preserve those issues for appeal. And, those, like I said, will come down the pike down the road sometime. Like I've been on the record that I think that the IGG aspect of this, if Koberger is convicted, is going to be an issue that's going to make its way up at the Supreme Court.
Oh yeah,
we need the big court, the high court, to sound off on it.
We need a definition.
Yeah,
we do, and we need parameters. We need to know from the highest court in the land, where it becomes the law of the land, what the cops need to do in order to be able to use that.
Right, buddy.
They like to just call it, it's a tip.
It's just a tip.
It's more than that, and the fact that you share DNA with your relatives, because right now where it stands with that stuff, and I know I've gone a little far afield from your question, but where it stands right now in the law is that you don't even have standing.
This is a great video
to attack it if they've gotten a match from a distant relative's DNA. Because you share that DNA, they're like, oh, well, this is a cousin fifth removed from you, but we're able to make the family tree. And
right.
So we got to you. You don't have the standing to challenge that at this point, because it's not your DNA per se, even though you share the DNA. So that's to me where the real argument.
Man, I'd love to have him on sometime.
Well settled that
he's
Tony,
so awesome.
You went into, say, a restaurant and you had a nice glass of iced tea, and you were your mouth all over it, your hands all over it, and you left that restaurant.
Is he gonna talk like the coffee like, listen, I'm not touching no coffee cup no more than I know I ain't buying? Is he saying, oh dude, we got to get together sometime? This is classic.
Feds are sitting on that restaurant, or law enforcement's at that restaurant. After you dip out, they creep in there and say, hey, we're gonna need to take that glass. They drop it into you've abandoned that DNA, so you no longer have a privacy interest in it. It's not the same thing with DNA. That is not the equivalent of DNA. DNA, you're not abandoning it. It's not a thing. Like if you share your DNA with a distant relative, I think personally that there's a privacy
unless it's being transferred.
I'm not suggesting that law enforcement not be able to use it anymore. What I'm suggesting is go get a goddamn warrant.
Right.
It can't be a fishing expedition. We
right.
don't want law enforcement being able to dig into all of us with the thing that tells the government more about us than anything on the planet, which is our DNA. Without them having a warrant, it can't be the beginning of their investigation. It like go in with a little probable cause, get the warrant, say, all right, this is what we got, and just have the judge say, all right, I think that's sufficient. Go ahead, do what you're going to do with the IGG stuff. So, if he's convicted, I think they'll go down the road. But in terms of DNA and Taylor sitting in it, you're going to have to do what most defense attorneys have to do at a trial, and you're going to have to try to pick apart piece by piece everything that the state's going to be putting on in that case. You got to
contamination, basically.
You look at it globally, but the attack is piece by piece. You look at it like, all right, we got the touch DNA on the sheath. I think that all of us in this defense room, in terms of our team, would agree that is probably the most damning piece of evidence they have. It's coming in. How do we attack it? And then you formulate how you're going to attack it. And the easiest attack on touch DNA is it's super easy to leave touch DNA. So you're saying, okay, well, the transfer of touch
just like
DNA,
that coffee cup,
be able to establish that's that's not real damning evidence. The question that we have to answer is, how did Brian Kohlberger's DNA end up on that sheath, even if it was easy to do, right? If it's not him being in that house, at what point was he close enough or in possession of that sheath that his DNA could have been on it, that it's explainable to a jury? And to me, I hear people like, touch DNA, shit evidence, and it can be very challenging for the state.
We're gonna explain it.
Case strictly untouched DNA, depending on what the situation is. It's a case by case analysis with that stuff. If you've got something where this knife sheath was bought at a Walmart and it was the floor model and 500 people have touched it, and that's something that you're dealing with. You're like, well, this thing was out.
Bringing up the coffee cup.
You can't trust that.
That's right.
The person that they found.
That's right. Like I said, I'm not going to Walmart because I said I used to be that window shopper. Yeah, I like this. No, I don't. Unless I'm like, yeah, that looks like it'll do. I'm looking at it 2 feet. It looks like it'll do. It forever change. 2 years, it forever changed how I shop for coffee cups and bread and cheese. Everything. Even garage sales. Even garage sales. No.
The DNA from that person.
This is a great video.
Where it was accessible by so many people that makes them the killer.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like, but when you have a situation where you got a single source DNA profile and it's found at the crime scene, it becomes more difficult to think of a way that may have happened where Brian Kohberger didn't have that in his possession. So, like, I'm spending an awful lot of time, if I'm Ann Taylor, trying to craft a theory as to how that may have happened. That's plausible.
I'm gonna craft.
And that's the thing. I mean, if you were to look at this, because the thing is, it's going to be a lot of the same arguments that they were making of what they wanted excluded from court, but now it's in court when the trial starts. And they can't be arguing, well, they shouldn't be in court to begin with anymore because it's been allowed in. So that's not going to be on the table, correct? She can't sit there and be like, well, we don't believe. Now she has to actually argue the merits of the touch DNA, which the science, it's pretty solid. I mean, I don't know where.
Okay, I'm going to switch to this because Bob brought up a great point. You know, how can, when it comes to explaining it, this is how you can explain it, okay? I'm going to play this right now. This is the Dirty DNA Revisited. If you haven't seen it yet, shout out to Rosie. I'm going to drop her link in the description. This is the Dirty DNA glove contamination at the crime scene. This is us discussing it. Check this out real quick, because you know what? When it comes to explaining it, this will explain it. If they want an explanation. When it comes to trial, that's where this information, I feel, and have always felt, is going to be the most key. I watched the OJ trial. I watched how they hammered down on the contamination of evidence, how they hammered down on somebody that was picking up items from the crime scene with contamination involved, how they hammered some of the lead investigators on how they transferred evidence which could allow contamination because it wasn't done properly. That's why when it came to the glove, that's why the glove was the tip of the iceberg. When you look at this DNA dirty glove and you're beginning to see how this DNA IgG just doesn't make sense, this is where that DNA dirty glove will come in. Because if you can show that there was contamination at a crime scene, and you're talking about the DNA and IgG evidence that you're talking about right now, I'm sorry, I know there's a lot of people out there that are thinking this is a slam dunk. The DNA stuff is complicated. Contamination of the scene is one of the best evidence that could be put forth. Again, the DNA dirty gloves will be key.
The contamination and the dirty glove, that's the only contamination or potential contamination that we actually know of. I mean, it's likely, if that's how they were behaving outside of the scene, that there was more than enough sloppy behavior inside. That's just what we were lucky enough to see.
There's already contamination that took place when these two people showed up. This one of the people is also part of the team that was doing the Washington State search at the apartment. Mm-hmm. I mean, this right here shows incompetence all over the place. You see this person right here? You see that person right there? Okay. You see what's in their hand? right? Camera, you see the hairstyle, you see the ponytail, right? You see the little line separating the shorter buzz cut from the longer ponytail, you know, right? You got the strap for the camera. It doesn't matter if you're wearing different gloves because it's the equipment you guys need to pay attention to, okay? The equipment. Pay attention to the equipment and everything else that was in her pocket before she went in, and we're going to show you that in a second. But again, ponytail, see the hair, you got the equipment. All right. Yep. There's a better shot of the hair. Okay. Now I'm going to show you this video. Okay. Now that you've established who's in there taking photos, when you have the people that are in there taking photos of the crime scene, documenting the crime scene, potentially picking up items from the crime scene to further document and photograph items from the crime scene. This is very important when it comes to the DNA that we are talking about right now when it comes to this case. So now that you got that picture of who this is, okay? You got the picture of who this is, the equipment that's being used. All right, now we're going to check out this video. Now, this is a drone video. When they showed up at the crime scene, people are showing up, news crews are pulling in. Okay. Now, law enforcement was also photographed and videoed not having booties, personal protective equipment, showing up, just walking in, regular shoes. Look at all the cars coming in and out, coming in and out. Look who shows up. They just showed up. It's important that I show you that. They just pulled up. Oh, just wait. Wait. You'll see the contamination. Now remember, equipment, hairstyle, because both of these ladies are in there. You remember the people that leaned over, looked down the handrail? Huh? The quote handrail, looked down the stairs where Bethany was, her room was at. That lady with the shorter hair, the brown shorter hair on the right, she was the one that looked down the stairs. The lady with the ponytail going straight up, just wait till you see what that lady. Okay, you see that blue glove down there, right? Let me pause it real quick and let me go back just a skosh. Now look, there's a blue glove right next to the right foot or the left foot of the lady on the right. Here is the zoomed photo. Okay, you see the glove that's laying on the ground. Okay, that's what you want to focus on. Now again, you just saw these people pull it up. They just got there. You see the hairstyle? Remember the line in the hair, the ponytail that's going up? That's the lady right there. Pay attention to her. Pay attention to that glove as we watch this video. You see the glove right there? She already stepped on it a couple times. She just pointed out the glove to the lady. Watch, see? She knows it's on the ground. She sees it. Points out the glove to the lady. Hey, there's a glove there. That guy can hear. Pay attention to that guy's head when she goes to pick it up. Hey, there's a glove down there. I stepped on it again. Hey, there's a glove. Hey, there's a glove. Oh, shoot, I'm sorry. Here, let me throw it in this bag, and let me go ahead and get some more clean gloves with the dirty glove. And I'm going to put those in my pocket. Look around. And he turned his head conveniently. That's what I'm saying. See that again. Listen, it don't matter whose name it is. That's exactly why I say and look at it the way that I am, because even if it's embarrassing, it is very embarrassing. She don't even throw those gloves away. Here's the link if you want to watch this video. Get stepped on a few times. What's on the ground? Who knows what's on the ground? Who knows where their shoes have been? Hey, there's a glove. Step on it again. Hey, there's a glove. Hey, there's a glove. All right, throw it away. I'm going to get some new clean gloves. And I'm going to stick some in my pocket. Now, I still have those dirty gloves on, don't I? Now look what I do. It's no wonder Ann Taylor was requesting training records from people, right? Remember that?
Right.
Yeah. Look at this. I'm going to open up my gear with all my equipment. And I'm going to touch everything and watch. I'm going to let this play because the other video I only showed just a small portion of it. But I'm just going to let this one play and you'll see all the equipment that this person touches. So when it comes to gloves that you throw away when you go inside, guess what? It's already all over your equipment because you already touched it. Look, you see the strap with the camera that she just touched? Gloves all over it.
Yeah.
Yep, gloves all over it. Look at this. I'm doing this with my camera. Oh, just wait. I'm going to show you. Look, you're going to see all the equipment. Look at this. Never changed her gloves. Shout out to my guest Rosie on this. Her gloves. Right, Momo? And these are the people. Look, I'm going to grab more stuff. I'm going to grab even more stuff. It's so horrible. Again, what John's Custom And what am I going to be using the most, ladies and gentlemen? I'm going to be using my camera the most, right? Look at how much I'm touching my camera, wiping it all over the camera. Not even concerned that I picked up a glove off the ground that was stepped on multiple times and then grabbed a bunch of clean ones.
Yeah.
Touching all that equipment. Touching all that crime scene items. Remember, they were documenting them.
I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. Really?
Huh?
No, I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. It's still surprising to watch after all this time.
It is, and now they closed it up because they're getting ready to take it inside. All those gloves that she grabbed, the clean ones, are in her pocket. Touched all that, all the equipment, did all of this with the camera. I'm gonna play it again. These are the people that just showed up, and these were the people that were in charge of documenting the crime scene. And when you listen, I don't know if Kohberger did it or not. I don't know because I wasn't there. But what I do know is when you see the minimal that you see, the questions that you're asking yourself when it comes to the evidence in this case, and you see this kind of contamination, this is why it brings me back and always has brought me back, because this came out just a few weeks after the crime. like it was finally put out to the public just a couple weeks after the crime. This has been out. This is what takes you to the OJ case, because if you're seeing this kind of contamination that is going in there and documenting the evidence, you have to question you could have like I said, look at how much they had on OJ. Contamination. The fact that OJ's blood was in the trunk of a vehicle for a day. OJ's blood was brought to another crime scene from a lead investigator. Contamination. When you're talking about contamination, the socks that had OJ's blood, or the victim's blood on OJ's socks and his shoes, were carried out on a binder from a lead investigator and put in their back seat. They weren't even in a bag. When you're talking about contamination, it doesn't matter what else you have, because when you're looking at something as simple as this right here, this is why it's important that you always approach the crime scene with keeping the evidence unblemished, no contamination whatsoever possible, because it's so important to make sure that these victims and families get justice. Damn straight. Contribution call out, Kib Kitty. Thank you so much for the 5 gifted memberships. If you are a new member, here is the link to this video, and you'll want to make a playlist, because I drop a whole bunch of video links for you. Just make it a CJ playlist. Hit the link for that, because if you are a member, you can see the first time that I showed up to 1122 King Road during the first year anniversary. Raw video, commentary driving up there. Enjoy it. And thank you, Kib Kitty. Contribution call out. Let me throw this up here real quick, and we'll get back into this. And I think we need to explain why the K-bar can be Maddie's too. It's an old video. It's something we brought a long time ago, a couple years ago. But I'm thinking we're going to share that with you too. And I'm going to shout out those people. Yoli Yo Law and Silky Southern Tea joined us for that. I'm going to play that for you too, because it has to do with all of this. And I hope the conversation doesn't keep going back to DoorDash delivery of a sheath. Contribution call out. And this right here was not approached that way before they even walked in the door. They were getting their things together, and that's where it started. So you have to question everything else after this point. You have to. It's horrible. And to see her touching that camera like that, I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, I wonder if it's to do, like, do you think that they didn't realize they could be seen, or did they just not think that through? I don't think they thought it.
I don't even think they could think that through. Look at this nonchalant. Look at this nonchalant. Yeah. You've got 4 people in there that were brutally attacked. I don't even think they thought about it. I don't think they could even think that far ahead, Rosie. Because if you're showing up, this is day, my Lord. If this was a class test experiment on the first day the first day of class, hey everybody, we're gonna take turns. Why don't you guys show me? Listen, this is our first day. We haven't gone through anything. I want to see where you guys are at up here. How would you approach this crime scene? You know what I'm saying? And they would I don't even know if they'd be able to show up to the next class. Because if you're showing up with this kind of common sense, and that's why I have the title, Major Blow to the Defense, because there's all this conversation about how the IGG not being suppressed is a big blow. And I'm like, I don't think so. Because common sense tells me when I'm looking at this contamination, common sense is telling me, how do you trust anything else in the investigation when this is what took place in the very beginning? Does this kind of effort...
No, I was just saying, I think that the defense is far from done with the DNA. I don't see why. I think people are a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's why I'm saying, that's why I'm telling people, just calm down. There's not, like, to me, listen, I've seen it from the beginning, from December 22. I've seen it from the beginning. Good morning. I've seen this contamination from the beginning. That's why it instantly made me think of OJ's case in the contamination that led up to the glove. So when I seen this, it's like, oh, hold on a second. And then I've already been telling you since the same time, they just got the tip. After we start digging into the PCA in January and February 23, it's like, yeah, they just took the tip. They just took the tip. Because I'm looking at it going, where's the other stuff? I'm not seeing it. Where's the photo of the car? You guys want to see what a photo of the car looks like from Moscow? This is a camera from Moscow. This is even more ridiculous. We could have got a photo like this. You're going to tell me that you don't have... This is a camera from Moscow. You're going to tell me that you don't have a freaking picture of Koberger's car that looks this good? What? You're going to put out a stock photo. Come on now. You can't believe it. This effort right here is the same kind of effort that the law enforcement gave showing up. And that right there is the link to the PCA route turn by turn to show you guys all the different cameras that would have caught his photo, just like the picture that you saw right there. There's that link for you too. That's not a members only. That's for everybody. Trust me. Boots on the ground, done a lot of work trying to make all this make sense, and I'm sorry it don't. And trust me, I really want to be there to report on this trial, y'all. I really do. You know you're going to get the damn truth from me, no BS. Because it took them 4 hours to get there when it literally takes 2 minutes. This is part of that problem. These people get these awards that have no business getting them. These people get this recognition and get these positions that ain't got no business having them. They ain't got no business having them. None. Especially this lady. Nope. Especially that lady. Ain't no way in hell. Now, this is an oldie but goodie, y'all. This is an oldie but goodie. This is way back in the day. This was actually recorded. Look at this. This was December 31st, 2023 is when we recorded this. I had a couple guests on here. Yoli Yo Law. I'm going to drop her link in this. And also we had Silky Southern Tea on the show back then. So there's their links. If you want to go sub up, please do. And showing some love from over here. There's their links. And this is me explaining that this could have been Kaylee's or Maddie's sheath.
Very heavy. It is a combat knife. It's been used by our troops since World War II, famously by the United States Marine Corps.
Thank you all for being here.
Police know exactly what they were looking for. In late 2022, that wasn't clear. But what you could easily find out is that anyone could go online and buy a K-bar knife.
And that's very specific. Folks that didn't see it, there's the word, K-bar. It actually is what's referred to as a bastardization of the words kill a bear.
Thank you, Kip.
And that's
Kitty.
how far it goes back. And so the
Ain't that
knife
crazy?
was considered to be that robust as a combat knife. You show up with a knife like this, it kind of implies that you're showing up with, say, some level of homicidal intent.
But who says that anybody showed up with that? It could have easily been one of the victims that they were trying to use to defend themselves when the person came in and committed
It
the crime.
appeared police, even with the help of the FBI, had little, if anything, to go on.
Just what happens in the beginning of a case like that, you don't know what's what. You don't know where to go. So you're just trying to stay in the investigative mindset so that once you get that break, whatever that break is that you were alluding to, like what that was, what was that one thing, you want to be able to be in a position so when that one thing happens, you can...
That I mean that it was for protection is because the person that commits the crime is either going to leave the sheath out somewhere or it's going to be on a belt loop. The reason that I think that it was found next to the victims and it wasn't on a belt, the person that's going to commit the crime is not going to walk in and hold a sheath in one hand and a knife in the other because they need the other hand that's not holding the knife to hold the person.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Or to push them back or to make sure that they have some kind of defense. They're not going to have their hand tied up with a fucking sheath. So that's why I say the sheath to me seems like it could have been some kind of protection because to me, it's the only thing that makes sense why a sheath wouldn't be on a belt or in somebody's pocket or left in a vehicle or sitting somewhere, period.
Yeah, because, I mean, here's the thing. If you have the knife in a sheath and you're going to commit this crime, I mean, you're pulling it out, like you said, with one hand. And how are you going to leave it there? Because when you leave, you're going to put that knife, if that's where it came from, you're going to put it back in the sheath. You're going to automatically know that that sheath isn't there if it came out. You know, if it came off, unsnapped from the belt or whatever. That's what you do.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I'm saying.
How could
So
you
like,
miss it?
so if you're going to commit this crime, say you're going to commit this crime and say you don't have it on a belt loop. Okay, say you're in your car or you're standing outside next to the bush. I don't give a shit where you're at. You're the thing that you're not worried about is putting the sheath over the knife while you're inside the property. You're not. You're worried about putting it on when you go out of there.
Yes.
So to say that the person came in there and had the sheath in their hand and then the other hand, the knife. No, it doesn't make sense to say that they carried it in 2 feet into the. No, it doesn't make sense. The person's going to be walking in there with the sheath already off.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's going to be on a sheath, then I would imagine it would be on their belt loop. And if they're wearing a suit, then they would have left it in their fucking car. They would have left it outside. They're not bringing it into the crime scene.
Exactly.
Just as a general thing, because you don't want to have your one hand tied up. You need it. You're taking on 4 people. You don't even know if you're going to make it out of there before you get to the 4th person. You don't even know because anything can happen. So the last thing that you're going to do is have one of your hands tied up with something that isn't going to help you commit this crime. That's why I feel like the sheath was part of one of the roommates that had it up there for protection from a boyfriend or somebody. It was protection. It was not the person that committed the crime. It just, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me that somebody would walk in there to commit the crime and have one of their hands tied up with a sheath.
Labar believes the case is defendable.
But the evidence, when it's viewed individually, you can attack that evidence as a defense attorney. But if you take the DNA evidence that's recovered from the sheath, for instance, I believe that to potentially be touch DNA, transfer DNA, which would mean that it could remain on that sheath for an indefinite period of time if undisturbed.
Forensic death investigator Joseph Scott Morgan on the sheath.
It would be clicked over and over again to get access. And it's just kind of actuating the snap.
It's important to note the public doesn't know the source of the DNA on the snap of the sheath.
If it is touch DNA, which is generally associated with dead, sloughing skin cells, this is a perfect place to harvest it from because it can actually be caught in this location and kind of protected in that area because it's.
Yes, protected in that area. Like they just said, it could be there for who knows how long.
Exactly.
It's in a protected area. That's why I keep saying, who says that, who says, what if it was a gift from BK? Who says BK didn't know that Kaylee was a sleuther? Or, knew she was a sleuther, wanted to do something nice. Hey, I got 4 of them. How about you have one to protect yourself in case, you're getting into some you're getting into some ugly shit. And no, don't carry a weapon around or a gun or something. Here, have this knife, as protection, just as some kind of friendly gift. I mean, who knows? Who's to say that BK didn't go pawn the damn thing and one of their friends went and bought it at a pawn shop?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then there's no connection there at all. What if he went and sold it to a pawn shop?
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what his explanation is because we don't know. But I mean, it makes sense to sleep. Like, there's a lot of times I sleep with a dagger.
I mean, he might not ever know. As far as he knows, maybe he just pawned the damn knife off because he had 4 of them. Maybe he just pawned it off because he didn't need it. He needed a couple extra bucks because he was a college student and maybe he was a little short on money one month and was like, you know what? I got 4 of them. Why don't I just go pawn it? Or why don't I sell it to somebody on Facebook Marketplace? Or sell, and then it got sold to somebody. It's that simple where he might not even know. Yeah, I sold it to Jim Boy, and Jim Boy then sold it to Johnny, and then Johnny gifted it. I mean, who knows? It could be that when we're talking about the protected area where it was at, it's not like it was on the top. It's not like it was along the side. It's not like it was in any of those places. It's a protected area that it could have been there quite a long time. So that doesn't mean, and just because, okay, maybe if you had the weapon, then damn straight, the sheath.
Yeah.
But when you're trying to say, well, they were unalived with a sharp object, there's different. I mean, we've shown different sharp objects. Who's to say, that none of that was used there? And like everybody keeps saying, that is just because the sheath was there doesn't mean that's the weapon. That's why I continue to say I feel like it could have been a gift. Just when you look at why the sheath was even there in the first place, doesn't mean it's the weapon. It be there? Doesn't mean it's the weapon. Good morning, everybody. The victims had it in their hand. In the other hand, I just wanted to show you guys. This is me from way back. Where's it at? December 31st. December 31st, 2023. Before we had the all the merch hoodies. Well, they're not merch hoodies. They're my gear for when I go out there. Long time ago, but yes. And you got to think about it. What's somebody going to do that's going in? This is why I brought up the DNA dirty gloves first as well, because when somebody's going in to inspect the crime scene, to inspect the items inside the crime scene, what are they going to be doing? Oh, they're going to be doing this, right? They're going to be doing this. Hey, we need to open this up too. while they had the knife in their hand, because they didn't need to. They weren't thinking about using the other hand to push somebody away, because they were thinking about, shoot, if I don't need this, then I can put it back and be safe.
Right.
That's why the sheath was there. That's why it was by them, because I feel like one of them did have it in one of their hands, because they heard sounds. They didn't know if it was a friend or not, so they didn't know if they needed to use it or not, but they were ready to use it if they had it in their hand. But if they didn't need to, sheath was there. They could have put it easily away. I think the person that committed the crime took the weapon as their own souvenir for a celebration of committing the crime. You know, they're laughing, you know, in their little secluded spot where they're protected. They're laughing, going, I not only got away with this crime, but they get to look at the K-bar that somebody was trying to use to fight against them, and they were successful. So they're looking at that knife as like a piece, like a prize to them, because it's like, you know what, not only I committed this crime, but they can sit there and look at that knife that they took and replay it even better than an article from the crime scene. Because think about it. If they're saying that the sheath, they're not even entertaining the idea that it could have been used for protection from one of the victims. So who's to say that that person is going to get in trouble for being able, they probably have it on a shelf in their living room. That's how they're, you know, they're so, because nobody's, how is any good, you know, when it comes to an ID or it comes to an article of clothing, well, son of a bitch, that'll look odd. That'll tie it right back. But with the knife, not if they're thinking that the person that committed the crime used it and they're about to be on trial. They're not going to associate that knife at all with the crime scene. So that's why I'm saying they could put it up there like they're hanging a fish, except there's a K-bar up there, and every time they're sitting there at home, they're watching Jeopardy, and then they look up and they can relive the crime every single time they look up during a commercial.
That is horrifying.
It's horrible.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
Absolutely horrifying.
When you focus on one thing, you don't even focus the possibility that other people can be involved either. And you just have that tunnel vision. And that's the other cases we've brought up before on the show, the tunnel vision. You don't think about these things. You know, you really have to think about it. Why in the hell would a sheath have been there in the first place? You think somebody that committed the crime really walked in there and held it in their hand? No, they went in there to use it. So why would they need the sheath for protection of it? They don't. They went in there to use it. Somebody that would need it would be somebody that didn't know if they needed to use it or not. That's why it was it. Just me.
No, that makes perfect sense to me. I mean, you know, yeah, if I were going in there, I wouldn't have. If I were going in there to commit the crime, I would not even have, unless I had it on my belt, I would not even have brought the sheath in. What you going to need it for? Nothing.
No, because you already know that you're going in there to use it.
Right.
You already know. So why do you need it? No, you're going to put it, if it's not on your belt, you definitely don't want to lose it, do you?
Right.
If it's not on your belt, you definitely don't want to use it. That's why I'm saying somebody that went in there to commit it wouldn't have brought it in there with them. Because why are you going to use one of your hands when you need it? Because you don't know if you're going to make it out of there when you're going against 4 people. You don't know that you're going to be successful all 4 times. What happens if on the 3rd try something happens and then they end up with the knife? You know what I mean? You don't know that. You don't know that. So you're going in there to use it no matter what. So you don't need the sheath.
Right.
You don't need it.
And even if it's on your belt and you leave, okay, you've done your business and you're safe and you're leaving, you would be looking for that sheath to put the knife back in. So why is it, you know, you still have time. You can go back. You're like, shoot, I left it somewhere, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, and like this too. You heard the noises come from upstairs. The Sheath was upstairs. Then you heard the noise come from the second floor. Now, and then when you're going on DM's statement, she says that the person walked by and she saw the bushy eyebrows. There's only one way you can walk by and see eyebrows and open DM's door, and that the only way that's possible is for somebody to walk through that walkway next to the good vibe light sign and DM be able to see through the crack door. And she said that they walked towards the sliding glass door. She didn't say that they walked back upstairs. So if somebody did commit the crime upstairs, lost the Sheath, went downstairs to commit the rest of their crimes because there was 2 left, went downstairs to commit the rest of their crimes, then why didn't DM state that the person went back upstairs? Because if they would have forgot the Sheath, they would have even if they didn't know where they lost it. It's only in a couple spots. You just got done on the second floor, so you can search. Okay, shit, I didn't leave it here. I'm going to go back upstairs, right? To search, because that's the only other place it could have been. No, they didn't go search. They left. So to me, that's another thing to me that says, no, that Sheath was not part of the crime, because if they would have forgot it, damn straight they would have walked back upstairs to go look.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to leave it behind if you did lose it. No. To me, the Sheath was from one of the victims that they were holding when they had the knife in their hand, because they didn't know if they needed to protect themselves or not. And for them to be so tunnel visioned on the Sheath, being that's the murder weapon, even though we don't have the weapon and we have all these different statements from the coroner about the injuries. Okay, well, it's pretty obvious if it was the same weapon, right? Then don't you think the same type of injuries would have taken place? Don't you think if it was only one weapon, they would have been able to come out and say, we know for sure it was a knife that was this long, this many inches, yada, 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 because you hear about it in all these other crime shows.
Yeah.
They tell you how many inches on average with the knife that they're looking for, from this inch to this inch.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get none of that. You get different statements about the injuries. So to me, to sit there and be so tunnel vision that you're looking for or you're interested in a K-bar, what about being interested that was one of the victims that they had for a defense, and the person that committed the crime took the trophy and put it up on their wall like a fish?
Mm-hmm.
That's for somebody to get, with all these people that do these crimes, they usually take an article of the crime so they can relive the crime when they're away from it, right? What better article from the crime would be than like a knife that nobody thinks is tied to anything but the person that committed the crime that they have charged? Like, that's the best part, because it's not a clothing, it's not an earring, it's not a necklace, it's not a phone, it's not nothing. It's something you could literally hang on the damn wall and nobody you could comfortably put that on your wall and know that your ass ain't never gonna get caught. You could bring it with you. You could walk around with it and pull it out and relive the fucking crime while you're on Santa Claus's bus going through the North Pole. Like, that's sick.
Yeah.
And they're so focused.
That is horrifying.
It doesn't make sense. The Sheath, it just doesn't make sense that the person that committed the crime left it, especially even when you look at DM's statements even. That doesn't tell you the person forgot something. All right, there's that. Yeah, that's an old video. That's an old one. Now we're going to switch to this episode right here. If you've never came across this channel, definitely go sub up. Does great work. Ran into them when they were doing videos for Micah Miller's case. A lot of interesting stuff, especially the way that they break it down. The channel is called Never a Truer Word, and the dude breaks things down awesome. So I'm going to share this with you guys. It is at a 1.25 speed, just to speed it up. By the way, we already have a notification out for later tonight, 7 o'clock Central. We're going to be having some special guests on this evening. They're in the description. And hit that notification and come hang out with us tonight. We're going to be going through all of the latest documents that have been dumped. We're going to be breaking them all down. And I'm still waiting to see. I have not seen any 911 call be dropped. Let me hit refresh again. I've been checking the whole show and I don't see it. I don't see it there. And I don't see it there. So if you see it, let me know. But we're going to break this down. This has to do with the 911 call. Never a Truer Word is going to break down the hidden clues in their words, and we're going to discuss it. Thank you all for being here. Go sub up to them, please, and hit the like on this video. I'll drop the link to the video in the description, and I'll also put them in the live chats as well for you. Appreciate you guys.
The 911 call that alerted law enforcement to the Idaho 4 murders has been unsealed and revealed, but does it shed any light on what happened inside the house that night? Let's find out as we dig into what is said in that 911 call here with Never a Truer Word, where we look at the words that people choose to use to see if they're telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, using my statement investigation process, which anyone can learn to understand more about what people are saying around them. Here we only...
Yes, here's the video. Like I said, he does great work. I would love to have him on the show sometime as well. Let me notate that because I want to reach out to him and see if he wants to come on as well. I want to reach out to Bob Mata and this guy. I want to see if we can get these gentlemen on the show sometime. Who knows? Maybe we could get them both on. That'd be sweet too.
Only look at the words that people use. We don't look at anything else. We clear our minds of everything, bar the words, and let the words reveal to us what really happened. So without any further ado, let's dig into that 911 call. If you can watch this on YouTube video or Spotify, then you will see that the call is marked up in a certain way. Anyone with a Q at the beginning of their name is law enforcement. Anyone with an A at the beginning of their name is someone answering the calls, if you like. So Q are asking the questions. A are people inside the house. So what is said and what can we learn from what is said? The call starts off with 911, location of your emergency. Now, this one goes two ways for me because...
And we dug into this too last weekend. Definitely want to check it out because there's some stuff that don't make sense. I'm sure this dude's going to point it out too. Again, this dude's awesome.
Because normally I look at how people answer questions, and do they answer the questions directly or do they not answer the questions they're asked? The question here is location of your emergency, and we don't get a location. Just a sense that this person is either ignoring the question to say something different, or they're just not listening. They're in panic mode. So what is happening here? Well, the answer comes back from the person known as A. Hi, something is happening. Something happened in our house. We don't know what. We have, and then they get interrupted. But let's just look at that very first answer. Hi, something is happening. So that means something is happening now. It's in the present tense. So they have a situation going on there and then. That's what's in their words. Something is happening. There's a situation going on at the point of this call. And then they go to past tense. Something happened in our house. Now, it's possible both things are true. It's possible that they do have a situation ongoing that is in the present tense. Something is happening, and there definitely is something happening, as will be revealed by the rest of the call. And something happened in our house. Knowledge that something previously happened. We don't know what we have. Now, we don't know what. Don't know is normally very reliable. Truthful people don't have a problem saying they don't know something. So we don't know what. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, as I should.
Right, because it's chaos right there. It's the beginning. Plus, you guys will see it's redacted. It's redacted anyway. Redacted to the point where it doesn't even show you a redaction. That's really redacted. It don't even show you the redaction.
Right now and say that they do not know what happened, but something happened in our house. Something is happening. Two different but related things being talked about there. But They didn't answer the question. They did not give the location of their emergency. So are they avoiding giving that for some reason? Or are we just in panic mode? Now, I think there's something happening in this call that makes it very frenetic. It could be that there was some drink going on the night before. It could be that drink or drugs are still in someone's system. It could just be the trauma of what is happening. We'll find out as we go through what I think is happening. The operator asks again, what is the address of the emergency? And now we start to get an answer. They say 1122, and then they say no, don't. And I think that no, don't is an aside. And I'd love to know what someone was doing.
Right. And I can't wait to hear it. No, don't. No, don't. Yes, Caddy. You got to think about it like this. Who's the two people that agree with Christy G the most? And those are the same two people. Because remember, the family got pissed. Shannon Gray even said, I'm pissed for everybody. Because they didn't get the heads up about the 911 call transcript. Guess what they got? They got some ass kissing from the investigators. We're going to give you... We didn't release the transcript, but we're going to release the audio to you, family members, early. And then the two people that are just right up there, just gung-ho with Christy G, those are the two individuals that got to hear it early. But we submitted FOIA. That really? Because I know people that submitted FOIA requests and they got denied. So why did the people that I know submitted FOIA requests for it and they got denied, but somehow you two got it accepted? I don't think so. I think somebody shared it with you and you had to say, we did a FOIA for it, because you're on some BS. You're on some BS. I know I'm right, Sarah, because I know people that FOIA'd it and were denied. So for these two people to sit there and say, we FOIA'd it, bullshit, you did. That's what you're being told because somebody sent it to you early. We FOIA'd it. You know why they can't release? Listen, you know why they can't? Because if they FOIA'd it, they would be putting it out there. They're not going to sit there and, come on now, this is a hot dog steak, two of them on the grill. They're not going to sit there and tell you, we're going to wait to release it until the major news networks do it, until the other people release it. You know why? Because they didn't do a FOIA. They didn't do a FOIA. Man, you know what I need to do? I should just take a couple-minute break and go get some damn popcorn. It's intermission time. We need a snack after that. Oh, my God. We just spoke a whole bunch of damn truth. All right, back to the show. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate you.
That this person, A, said don't to them.
Like I said, no BS. No BS. Hey, I give it to you like I like my liquor. Straight, no chaser, baby. Straight, no chaser.
I don't know what it is, but we know that they, inside that house at that moment in time, they didn't want someone to do something. But here they are listening and they are answering with the address. The operator says, what's the rest of the address? And A says, oh, Kings Road. And the operator says, okay. And is that a house or an apartment? And they say that it's a house. Now, these are good, clean answers. They are listening to the operator. They are
providing
the answers to the question, the answers to the question that will get help to their location. So this is good. This is helpful. They're not trying to.
And when I drink that cognac. All right. Yeah. Yeah.
Dodge the address like they could have been when they didn't answer the question the first time. They are just helping get the help to the right place. However, the first thing they said, that something is happening, something happened in our house, I now think is a priority. It's what's high in their mind. A fear, a worry, a panic, I do not know what, but they started off by saying something is happening. They are very concerned about what is happening there and then the situation that they are in. So they answer the address questions properly. And then they are asked, can you repeat the address to make sure I have it right? And someone else appears on the phone. The person marked as A1 on the transcript and says, I'll talk to you guys, which I presume is them saying, I'll talk to you, operator. We live at the right, so we're right next to them. So digging into what that means, they are saying they are not a resident of the house where the phone call is coming from. They live at the right of the house where this is happening. They are right next to that house. That's what is happening there. But they are not repeating the address. But then they've just picked up the phone or been past the phone, so maybe they didn't hear the question. So the operator says again, I
remember there was 4 people, but only 3 got notated. But there was 4. I'm telling you, there's redactions of a redaction. Like the redaction got redacted to where it went poof. You don't even see it unless you're really reading the words.
I need someone to repeat the address for verification. And A1 says the address, 112 King Road. So they do, again, give the information that is needed very directly. So there's no hiding there. Then there's a section where the operator wants to...
Hope you feel better, Sea-Dog. Hope you feel better, buddy.
Know which phone number they're calling from. So A1 has to ask A what the phone number is, and A1 passes on the phone number to the operator. And then here we get to the really meaty part. This is always a revealing part of 911 calls when the operator says, tell me exactly what's going on. That question is in the present tense. What is going on? Not what happened, not what happened last night, what happened in the past. What is the emergency right now? Because if you're calling 911, you have an emergency of some sort right now. And the answer from A1 is revealing and slightly strange. A1 says, one of our, then restarts, one of the roommates who's passed out and she was drunk last night and she's not.
Yeah, when we broke it down, we were like, somebody doesn't want to make themselves known as someone that's living at the house. One of the... No, we saw. Oh, no, they saw. Yeah, let's change up the narrative, right? Yeah, let's change.
Waking up doesn't make a lot of sense if you just say it as a sentence. One of the roommates who's passed out and she was drunk last night and she's not waking up. Let's break that answer down. She says one of our, and then she changes it to one of the roommates. So she was going to say one of our roommates, but if she is from the other house, then this is not one of our roommates, is one of their roommates, or she says one of the roommates. So is that just a misspeak? Or is there something more going on there that this person is not all they seem to be? We'll find out as we go through this call, I think. But she says one of the roommates who's passed out. Now that's in the current present tense. So she seems to have...
Right? I live over there. Right? Like somebody... Which way did he go? He went that way, even though he went that way. I live over there. I'm going to tell you, I live over there to the right.
Knowledge there that at the moment, her knowledge seems to be this roommate is currently passed out. She then goes on to say, and she was drunk last night and she's not waking up. So she was drunk last night. There is knowledge there that this roommate that they're talking about was drunk last night. And she's not waking up, again in the present tense. Now, I want to know what she's not waking up means, because we hear this a couple of times in this call. That suggests to me that potentially the person talking has only had this as information. There's nothing directly to prove it. For example, if A1 had tried to wake up this person, they would say, I've tried to wake her up and she's not waking up, or she will not wake up for me, or she will not wake up when I shake her or try and get her. But it's very, very generic. She's not waking up. So is that something that she knows, or is it something that she's aware of? She doesn't say, and we can't assume there. Once this has happened, once that A1 has passed on this immediate situation that one of the roommates has passed out and is not waking up, A shouts, I'm presuming in the background of the call here, no, we saw, and goes on to maybe say something or gets interrupted. So A is very, very much of the opinion that what they want to get across.
They went like this. Don't say it. So, like I said, somebody was wanting to tell that A was wanting to tell the truth. A1 was like,
is not the fact this person won't wake up, but what they saw the night before. And notice that it's we saw. So more than one person saw whatever it was that has been seen. It will be revealed, but more than one person, because there's the pronoun we there. So A and someone else saw something the night before. But that no jumps out that what A really wants to get across is not the fact that there is someone not waking up or passed out within the house at this time. It's that she wants to get across that she and someone else, at least one other person, saw something the night before. The operator says, okay, and A1, this is potentially the person that lives next door, says, oh, and they saw some man in their house last night. Yeah. Let's break that down. And they saw some man. So they is plural again. It's not she saw some man last night. So we have they saw some man last night. So more than one person has seen.
Yeah, distance ourselves, right? Oh, distance ourselves. Right, Pamela? It's funny, but it's not funny. Oh, trust me, whatever. I just broke that down a minute ago. Rewind the show about 10, 15 minutes. You'll have your answer.
the person that was there in their house last night. Yeah. Now let's deal with the pronouns there of their house. So again, this is confirming to me that this was maybe just
you'll have your answer.
A1 said one of the roommates, because they are claiming this is not.
Maybe like 10 or 12 minutes. Just zip back. Trust me, you'll have your answer. And I'll be putting out a highlight after a little bit. It'll probably drop in the early afternoon, and you're gonna. I mean, it's the damn truth. Like I said, straight no chaser, baby.
The house of A1, they're saying this is their house, i.e. other
straight
people's
no
house,
chaser.
Not my house. And then saw some man. Now that's an interesting phrase to talk about someone. So they saw some man. So what we know is that these people, more than one person, saw just one man. It's just very precise. One man. It's not some men in their house last night or saw three men in their house last night. It's one man that they saw in the house last night. And some man suggests this is not someone who was known to them, or at least recognized by them, because there's a hint of randomness there, that it was some man that was in their house, not a man, not the man, not a person known by name, or someone or anything like that. It's some man, which suggests that what we've got so far is more than one person, at least two people saw someone they did not recognize, but it was a single man there. That's if that's how the story has been relayed to them. Certainly no indication of anything around familiarity with the person that was in the house that was observed at all. They saw some man in their house last night. Very vague description. Some man doing what is not brought up there at all, but just some man. A then grabs the phone back from A1 and says hi. So again, I think A really wants to talk about this situation that happened last night, not about this person who won't wake up or who's passed out at the moment. And the operator, A says hi, and the operator goes, and are you with the patient? Okay, I need someone to keep the.
That's what I was, Pamela. That's what I was. I'm gonna tell anybody right now. I'm gonna give you a heads up, because I've been giving you a heads up since this whole. Since 3 days later, we found out from law enforcement with the first press conference 3 days later that they didn't call 911 until 11:58. And I'm just gonna look. I've been giving everybody a heads up since, and I'm gonna continue to give everybody a heads up. I'm gonna tell you right now, if I'm in the same vicinity and something happens to me like that, and you don't call 911 because you don't know, I might still be able to make it. You don't know. And the fact that you're supposed to be if you're a friend and we're in the same damn location, you better call 911. Because if I pass, my ass is going to haunt you. I'm going to tell you right now. It's already done deal. I will freaking haunt you. Because I know I ain't going to be able to pass on. And if that's what you call a friend, I mean, you get done dirty by friends left and right. But damn. That's right, John's Customs. I'm going to be an MF and ghost. Shoot. And I'm supposed to be your friend. You don't know. You know what I'm saying? One of them could have still been clinging. Come on.
The phone, stop passing it around. And this is her priority. Can I just tell you what happened pretty much? So This is very interesting to me. Can I just tell you what happened? So again, this is going to something in the past. She does not want to talk about the present there. She just wants to talk about what happened. Now, this is not me putting any blame on someone at all. This is me saying that what happened is more of a priority to A than the current situation that they are in. So whatever happened, or for whatever reason, it is a priority that they want to talk to the 911 operator, in your head, law enforcement at this point. But then she says, can I just tell you what happened? And then she says, pretty much at the end of it. Does that mean she's holding things back about this? Because pretty much means almost all, somewhat, but not everything. And it's a word that doesn't need to be there. She could have just said, can I just tell you what happened? And instead she says, can I just tell you what happened? Pretty much. So there's something there, me.
Right, because A has been trying to tell the truth the whole time, and A1's been going, psh. Yes.
Is she holding information back about what happened the night before? Because she doesn't want to say what happened.
She wants to tell what happened. She was just cut off, and now that person is not really there to tell the truth. The person, that's why I said I feel A is Bethany, and A1 was Dylan. It's going to be interesting to hear when this comes out. Somebody wasn't wanting the truth being told. Just look at the words.
She wants to say pretty much what happened. Now, the operator's not having any of this. She's not listening. What is going on currently?
That's
asked,
right, Beckles.
Is someone passed out right now? And the answer comes back from A. I don't really know, but pretty much at 4 a.m. So we can really see they want to drive through.
Right. Because Bethany didn't know. Remember, Bethany was Anna was wearing all black. Dylan knew. Dylan should have frickin' told Bethany, because I'm sure she kept Bethany in the dark the whole time, too. Dylan should have frickin' called. She was your +1, Dylan. You're +1. And you didn't call? Huh. Crazy. Like Alanis Morissette sings, isn't it ironic, don't you think?
What it is that they experienced. Is someone passed out right now? She says, I don't really know. Well, if we go way back to the very beginning, A says, something happened in our house, something is happening. And we really, the focus is really there. She just does not know what the current situation is. She just wants to talk about what happened last night. A1 is the person that's
Dylan suppressed the information,
passed on all the information so far about this person that won't wake up. When A is asked about what is going on currently, she says, I don't really know. Now we've got a qualifier really there, which means she probably has some idea, but not a full idea. She doesn't say I don't know. It's I don't really know. When we don't really know something, we've got some ideas, we've got some sense of what is going on. We just don't know absolutely everything. And then we've got pretty much again, pretty much at 4 a.m. Now that might just be sort of at 4 a.m. I wasn't keeping an eye on the clock, and I don't know the exact time, but something pretty much happened pretty much at 4 a.m. The operator comes right back to the now and says, okay, I need to know what's going on right now. If someone is passed out, can you find that out? And A says, yeah, I'll come on. We got to go check. But we have to. Is she passed out? She's passed out. What's wrong? So this suggests to me that we got to go check that for some reason, A does not know the state of this person that is at the moment described as passed out or not waking up. I don't think she's made any attempt to see this person at all. I do not know why, although she's obviously freaked out about what happened the night before, and that's the big priority there. But at this stage, A has not checked the condition of the person who is not waking up or passed out, because when she's asked, she says, we've got to go and check, and then we have to. And then she's asking, and I'm presuming this is to other people in the house, is she passed out? She's passed out. What's wrong? She even asks what's wrong. So A has called 911 for some reason, and that seems to be to tell them what happened the night before. Her priority is not the person in the house. So Q, which is the dispatcher, dispatches the Moscow Law ambulance, and then A says she's not waking up. So this again is very distant. It's not I can't wake her up. It's she's not waking up. Now we don't know why.
Or maybe she couldn't talk for that. Come on.
She knows that, or why anyone knows that at the moment. But
somebody could have known for sure if they called 911, though, right away. Maybe somebody could have Maybe somebody could have, saved somebody. Dude, I swear, if a friend of mine or oh my gosh. Look, when I pass on, I plan to cross that river. You know what I'm saying? But boy, you do some crap. What's up, lady? You do some crap like that to me, I'm haunting your ass. I already know.
But it is very distant because there is no description of it.
I already
Is she not answering a
know.
knock on her door? Is she not answering text messages? Is she not answering phone calls? Is that what's
LPD,
leading them to
what's
think
up?
she's not waking up? Or is there something more immediate? Well, she doesn't have that more immediate experience. It doesn't seem to relay there. Then there's some more dispatching going on and dispatching of law enforcement and ambulances. Then A2, which is a male in all of this, enters and says, yeah, it's, and then Evan is in brackets in this transcript. I'm just presuming that's what is said, and the name is in brackets for some reason. Yeah, it's Evan. A says, okay, how old is she? Asks dispatch. And A answers, she's 20. So again, A is answering questions directly. In fact, she wants to give more information. She wants to talk about what happened.
Right. And just like the dispatch said right there, the one I copy about the 20-year-old female unconscious trying to get further. Nobody said she was 20 years old. Where is that where is that in the dispatch? We're going to be looking for that too when this quote audio comes out, because we already know people that tried to FOIA it and they got denied. And some people have to say they got it FOIA'd because they can't tell the truth about they actually got it early. Otherwise, they would have released it before the mainstream media is supposed to release it, right? If you got it with a FOIA, it's legally yours to put out there. But we're gonna wait for News Nation. I smell hot dog steaks again. Ugh.
Happened the night before. She's not being evasive. She's not dodging any questions. She's answering questions directly and wanting to give more information about what she experienced the night before, which I presume and I think she thinks is helpful to have this conversation. The dispatcher says 20, you said. And then, yes, 20. And then she, A seems to hand the phone to A2 because she says, here, do you want to talk to them? And A2 says, hello. And the dispatcher says, I need people to stop passing this phone around because I've talked to 4 different people. A2 says, okay, sorry, they just gave me the phone. And the dispatcher says, is she breathing? And there's A2 says, hello? Now, is that a question to a question, or did they just not hear? Is that buying some thinking time to that question? Is she breathing? Because if it's a sensitive question to A2, they may be going, oh, I don't know the answer to this, or I don't know the answer I want to give.
And there's a lot of people talking, and yes, Pamela, I believe DM didn't say shit to Bethany. I believe Dylan. It was, and she invited Kaylee as her +1. Like I said, Alanis Morissette sang the song. She said it's like rain on your wedding day. It's like inviting your friend to be a +1 and then not calling 911 when you know an attack took place right above your fucking ceiling. Same thing, right? Same thing? Yeah, I think so too. Same thing.
Give to this. What do I say to this? I don't have the words to say to this, so I'm going to stall for some time by just saying hello and get them to repeat the question again. Or maybe they just did not hear. We're not there. We don't know. But the fact they didn't answer the question, is she breathing, straight away, makes me wonder what's going on. The operator says, is she breathing? And A2 says very definitively, no. So for all the 2 women, A and A1 in this transcript, don't really know the condition of the person beyond that she's not waking up, which we don't know how they know that. They've not said any more about that. A2 knows this person is not breathing. This prompts the operator to go into sort of an emergency mode. A2 says, Bethany or Dylan, I need you to talking to them, okay? I can't talk to them. I need you to talk to them. So what do we have going on here? Is A2 just performing a sort of alpha role and wanting to take charge of the situation and wanting to actually go to the person that may need help? Or is this another avoidance of answering questions from the operator? We don't know, but this is the second time we've seen potential avoidance here.
Oh,
I'm male voice A2 saying,
oh, yeah. I'm not saying anybody's innocent because, I've said that plenty of times. That smell, yeah. your body rejects it automatically. It's already telling you that it's not. And it, there is a half wall that's up those stairs, but to her credit, it's not directly underneath. You know what I'm saying? But you're right. Somebody, especially when you knew that, because listen, you didn't know that maybe you didn't know that a crime took place, right? But what you do know is, Dylan was telling you that there was some dude in there. Or was.
Bethany or Dylan, I need you to talking to them, okay? I can't talk to them. I need you to talk to them. A gets back on the phone and says hello, and she is told that there's an ambulance and law enforcement are there and on the line. There's then some questions around a defibrillator, and at one point, we have the other law enforcement person come through and say unconscious, not breathing. And then the operator says they are going to end this call because law enforcement have obviously got there. I'm going to let you go since he's there and he can help you. So A says, okay, thank you, bye. The operator says, okay. And then very soon after that, Q4, another law enforcement personnel says, I think we have a homicide. Now, if they are on the scene, if that is what is going on, and they have determined that there's a homicide very quickly, then I've got some questions around how the people calling did not know there was a homicide. I think, I'm fairly certain from the words I've seen there, that the two women, A and A1, did not know, they had not seen the person who's being killed, we now know at this point. As far as they were concerned, it was a concept of she's not waking up. But A2, maybe they had just been and checked on the room and actually gone into the room because they said they're not breathing. And then we have law enforcement turning up and saying it's a homicide. But it's very interesting steps. The start of the phone call, we have someone who was drunk the night before and is passed out and is not waking up. Then when A2 becomes involved, this person is not breathing. They move from unconscious to dead. And then when law enforcement gets involved, it steps up one more time and it becomes a homicide. That's the transcript of the 911 call. What do I think? I think that certainly what we've learned from that is that more than one person inside that house around about 4 a.m. observed one singular man in the house. And whatever has gone on, whatever has ensued, has caused panic and hysteria, certainly amongst the person A that saw this happen, because A is really focused not on the trouble that their roommate might be in, but on what they saw the night before. And they keep using the phrase, what happened, but they are not telling us what happened inside this call. And that's what I get from looking at the words of that 911 call. What do you think? Do let me know.
Yes, and definitely go sub to this gentleman. Good stuff. Good stuff. We got plenty of stuff to get into in the future. Like I said, tonight we are going to be digging into all the documents that just got released and that have been getting released. We're going to dig through all of those. And then we'll be having a show again tomorrow, more in the afternoon, early afternoon time. We'll be doing a show. And then we'll be having some upcoming weekend too. And I'll be doing a members live when I'm on my drive heading out to do some more work. So I want to say thank you all for hanging out this morning. Appreciate it very much. I know it's a crazy time. It was early as hell for me. Usually right now is when I'd be starting my morning show, but I got a lot of stuff to do. And then, like I said, we'll be back at 7 o'clock Central tonight. Digging into all these documents. We got special guests coming up. Thank you all for hanging out. Appreciate it very much. Please hit the like if you haven't yet. And I hope that you enjoy all the new stuff that I did for you guys, just to make it a little more eye appealing, right? I love you guys. I appreciate it. I think I'm past this bug here. Fingers crossed. Peaceful, positive afternoon. We'll see you later this evening. Love you guys.
okay over there? Is your victim at the hospital? Someone shot there. Alright, the ET doesn't take pictures of the, is it domestic related? She's calling back. We're going to try to give her a call again, and then she just added another phone number to the 13-year-old grandson who's possibly with the daughter.